What up, Nine?
Trapaholics Mixtapes.
As the 9% and word would say, make a better you, a better us.
Who do you think you are? I'm the word. Boy, I'm the one who put in the work.
Get you a word. Nana nana boo boo.
What up, though? It's the word. You see the title. We about to get into it. But before we get into that, let me get into the chat. My brother Bond, what up, though? Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Commander, what up, 9? The Minister of the General Defense is in the building. My 33 brother, what up, 9? Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Hey, yeah, I had to take a couple days off. Got to get myself together. I'm getting old, man. Okay, I can't be up with y'all late at night and then getting up early in the morning, and then I got a little thing one and thing two bouncing off of walls and stuff. And that, look, my life is dangerous. Okay, I got little kids. They dangerous. Little ninjas. They ain't even kids. They like little ninjas. Anyway, so yeah, we took a couple days off. I'll probably go take a couple more off because I'm still a little tired. But I was just thinking about this, right? Because lately we've been talking about morals and values, and we've been talking about all that. We online, right? And anybody can come online and play any role they want to, right? Hey, what they used to say back in the day, you can be all you can be in the army. Yeah, you can be all you can be on the internet, on the YouTube. On the YouTube, be all you can be on the YouTube. Yeah, so this is more like a self-reflection, right? This is something I do often because I realize the position I'm in today is predicated upon the actions I took yesterday. Meaning what I did in the past put me where I'm at today. So I understood the things I do today can put me in a better position tomorrow. You know, I understand that on multiple different levels, not just like job or relationship. I'm talking about just the person I am, developing myself. You know, it is the things that we do, you know, consistently that determines our behavior, our habit, our character. You know, people say they got integrity, people say they got morals, but then you watch what they do and it don't reflect none of that. So my question is, what does your life result say about you? All right, where you at in life? The people you're around, the way you impact them people, the way them people impact you, the environments you in. You know, how do you affect the environment or the environment affect you? You know, we say things like, oh, we got morals or we got values or we got this or we got that, but what does our actions reflect? Because our actions determine where we at. What did we build? What have you accomplished in life? What things will people say about you? Or what you made of? That'll dictate what you made of, man. You know, it'd be easy for me to say I'm a humble person, and then when it's time to display that humility, you don't see it. It's easy to say stuff, but what do you do? When I do something wrong, we talk about compassion. Are you a compassionate person? You know, some people feel like, oh, I get free speech. I can say anything I want. That's true. But if you get some type of empathy or compassion in your heart, you ain't gonna say nothing to hurt no other people. You ain't got no malice in your heart. You know, you ain't gonna, and if you do, you gonna correct it. That's what follows. That's what compassion is. Respect. You know, I often look at a person if they can respect themselves. Same thing like with love. Can they love themselves? Can they respect themselves? And if they can't, then how do you expect them? I can never, just, you know, my personal opinion. If I see a person that can't respect or love themselves, I just don't believe they can respect or love me. If they can't do it for themselves, okay, if they do it for themselves, then I start looking at, you know, I got another gauge. Like, this is just the type of person I am. I'm gonna treat a rich person like I'm gonna treat a poor person. You know, ain't no difference. We all people. I'm not go, you know, I don't D-ride or nothing like that. I don't care who you is. We cool. You my people. But if we ain't, then you just a regular person. You know, that's just how I feel about that. So I'm gonna treat a rich person like I'm gonna treat a poor person. I'm gonna treat a poor person like I'm gonna treat a rich person. I'm gonna give them respect, dignity, and all that. That's just who I am. Right? But people, like I said, anybody can say anything, but what does the action show? I did not know I didn't have a link down there. My bad. Yeah, but just doing self-reflection. Like I said, when I first started, I personally started off doing it like once a week. And then I seen the benefits in it. Because self-reflection, if you do it the right way, it's just a consistently holding yourself accountable. Even when you do right, you find ways to do right better. You know, even if you did good, you find ways to do it better. You're just constantly looking at what you did, why you did it, and how you can do it either better or, you know, not do it at all. Bud Files, what up, though? Appreciate you. No shoes, no shirt service. Where is Black Dynamite? Panel need them again. Black Dynamite. Yeah, shout out to Black Dynamite. I don't know where he disappeared. He came one time, enjoyed himself, and disappeared. That man probably worked 7 days a week or something. But yeah, like doing that self-reflection, it just showed me different areas that I can improve in, different behavior patterns I wanted to get rid of, different habits I wanted to change. You know, that'd be one of the hardest things, man, is to look at yourself and realize what you can do better. You know, most people just believe in things. They don't actually, that's why I always ask people, what do you practice? What do you do in your day-to-day life? You know, it's nice to think nice about yourself. That's why I be honest with people. Like, I'm an asshole, bro. I ain't got a lot of you. I ain't got a lot. People, you'll meet some people who say I'm a sweetheart. And that's because they sweet to me. We cool. But if I like you, oh, I'm an asshole. Cause I'm a pick with you. That's just what I do. That's just who I am. I'm gonna pick with you. I'm gonna annoy you. I'm gonna crack jokes at times there ain't no joke supposed to be cracked. That's just my personality, bro. I'm laid back all the time. And when I get hyped, it's party time. You know, when I get hyped, you know, the whole room go get hyped. I change the whole room energy. But that's just me. Um, but I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to be me. Right? I didn't know how to be me, and that's why I said your environment a lot of times. My environment was like contrast to my personality. The environment I was in didn't fit, but I had to adapt to survive. Right? But that's what I was at disarray with myself because I couldn't be myself. I had to be something else. And so I had constant internal conflict. Constant internal conflict. Because I'm in an environment that's not allowing me to be me. I'm in an environment that's not encouraging me to be me. But what does that say about me? If I put myself in a position to lose and keep myself in that position, then it shows lack of self-confidence. Lack of resilience. Show a lack of a lot of things. Because if you in a bad situation, if you're in a situation that you don't desire, and you ain't doing nothing to get yourself out that situation, you just conceded. No mas. You done gave up. And you can just conform to the environment. You just go with the flow now. Instead of either you doing something to affect that environment to change it, or you putting yourself in a different environment. Anywhere it go, you doing something. You're doing something. Just ain't taking it. What are you made of? Like, what are you made of? Like, when you think of you, what are you made of? What are your attributes? Like I said, we've been talking about morals. Like, where do your morals get you in life? Your morality, what has it gotten you? How have you affected people around you? How have your morals affected you within an environment? How does the environment influence your morals? Do the people around you influence your morals? Or do you influence them? Like everything that you about, what has it gotten you in life? Where has it gotten you to in life? Like I'll tell you this, and I'm being honest, you know, if I didn't change the person who I was, I wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't be with my wife. She wouldn't have dealt with me. She definitely wouldn't have dealt with me. She wasn't playing none of that. So I matured. I developed a lot of other different qualities. I'm not even gonna say develop. Yeah, that's happy birthday, Dee Dee. Dee Dee. Bud Fowles, what up, though? My bag got a holes on my mouth. Almost choked on it on that last DD. My bad. But yeah, so like what are you made of? The stuff you made of, what is it? You know, 'cause like I said, people like when I hear people say morals, I'd be like, what are your morals? You know, and we use a ton of hypotheticals, right? But you know what ain't hypothetical? Your experience. That's not hypothetical. So when you think of your morals, how has your morals gotten you? Where has your morals gotten you in life? Where have your morals gotten you? Are you at, and not even the material things, right? I'm talking about more, are you at peace within? Like, you think of people like Gandhi, but these people weren't rich. These people was poor. You get people like Dr. John Henry Clark, right? Man dedicated his life to black studies, like black history. So he can tell his people where they're from and tell them their story. He dedicated his life to that. He died poor. But he was at peace. You know why? Because he was doing what he felt was right. It wasn't about the money, the fame, it wasn't about none of that. It was about him doing what he felt like he needed to do to contribute to his people. You know, so like, what is that man made of? We can talk about integrity, discipline, love, compassion. The man was made of a lot of great things. Yeah, a lot of great things. Didi birthday, happy birthday, Didi. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I gotta get that. I had a happy birthday thing, but they struck me on everything, so. But yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, what does your life result say about you? Not even like, I ain't talking about if you got a big house, big or white picket fence. I ain't talking about none of that. But how are you as a person? Are you at peace? Do you love yourself? Are you confident? You know, are you optimistic? Like, where is your morals or the things inside you got you in life? What up, though, Nine?
What up, though? What up, though? It's an interesting question, right? Because there's people that go through so many different things in life, right? Like for example, your first teacher it should be your family, right? The people you raised in your home with, mom, dad. Some people are fortunate to have their grandparents there. So some people get to see like 2 or 3 different generations in their household. So, you know, that elder, that big mama, that papa, they can tell you something that happened 60 years ago. They teach you them morals from 60 years ago. Your parents may teach you something 20, 25 years ago, right? And then, you know, you go on out there and unfortunately, some people, they get not gonna say peer pressure. They get to hang out with their friend. Well, I don't even know about today. I'm not even gonna say that part. But for me growing up, you go outside, you go to the parks, and you see things, and then hey, what made you decide to do that? You inquire about certain things. So in other words, you learn 3 different type of life lessons or moralities or whatever, and then you apply it to your life, right? Not just your early years. So as long as you understand that, you always gonna have room to grow. What do I mean by that? Some people go to college in their 20s, they learn something there. Then as your age progresses, you learn so many different things. So you try to make the right and wrong decisions. Okay, this is the right moral, this is a wrong moral, this is what I'm gonna stand on, this is what I'm not gonna stand on. And then, you know, if you're one of those people that's fortunate to get life lessons, you will continuously learn at every given point. So like even if when you come up on these panels, right? Like I've learned a lot from you, right? And sometimes when you add to yourself, you add a new moral code to yourself, even at the ages of 35 and 40. So as long as you understand that you don't have to conform to the old dog, don't know new tricks or whatever, and understand that as long as you feel like you can grow, you can learn something, you can always add to your morality. And sometimes you may not even need it, right? Or you may not feel you you want it. Sometimes you just add it because you just feel right adding something to your life. So as long as and you impact it and place it in your life, and then you show it and it becomes consistent, you can there's a lot of people that can understand where you've been in life because of your moral attributes. You're on mute. Oh, okay. I guess still on mute then. Yeah, so when you have those type of concepts, right? You know, you may can learn from, you may learn school etiquettes, you may learn street etiquette. You can learn a lot of different things. And and how does that produce in your life? You could be very well spoken. You could show if you're book smart, or if you could show you life smart. If that makes any sense. I don't want to say street smarts because streets ain't the only part of life that can teach you something, right? But professional status, the professionalism that you may display, right? That could be a part of your etiquette, your moral code, your moral status. So any type of situation that you go through can either enhance or improve you or change or subtract
Carrie, what up, though? What up, though? My bad, bro. I was putting some of the potatoes on the. Yeah, my wife made these. She called them butter baby potatoes, but they ain't even got butter in them. But anyway, no, that's definitely a fact. Like that's what I say. Like, what matters to you today at my 40s ain't. It's gonna be a whole new um, set of goals in my 50. Things I'm more concerned or worried about when I'm 50 than when I'm 40. And that's how it was. I think differently from when I was 30 to 40, from 20 to 30. The more experience you get, the more important different aspects of life become. You know, so like you said, with people, I don't think like I don't. You know me, bro. I don't like boxes at all. I don't like boxes. To say something is this or something is that, what exists, it exists. I deal with existence. So um, I know, like, I don't feel morality is objective because different things mean have different meanings to people, you know. And just through the age gap, so at different times, we all at different places in our journey, you know. Some people have more patience, some people have less patience. Some people have willing to give more respect than others. Who is wrong and who is right? Everybody got to do right by themselves. At the end of the day, you do right by yourself first, and then that's like You know, when the plane going down, they say put your oxygen mask on first before you try to help anybody. So you got to do right by yourself before you try to do right by anybody. And the more you do right for yourself, the more eager you'll be to do right by other people. You know, that's when you get that internal conflict. That whatever's inside you will come out. So if you at peace, if you got a pure heart, that's all you gonna be able to give people. You know, so yeah, I be trying to get on that Zen, that Buddha type. You know, like that's
Yeah,
what
I
I'm trying to
definitely
get
agree.
to.
I agree with that, right? Because you know, you know, some people may teach you, being selfish is a sense of honor. I'm gonna use that as an example. Now, if you're a selfless person, you're going to worry about others before you worry about yourself. And some people may be selfish and feel at peace, and some people that may feel selfless is at peace. It doesn't mean that you're right or wrong. It's just what suits you, what fits you. It's on an individual basis. But but going back to your surrounding, your areas, your the people that's nearest and dearest to you, there's going to be different additions into your morality code, right? So, for example, if you see somebody struggling outside on the street, somebody might your 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 cousin may walk past the person. You might say, "Yo, hold up, let me see if this guy is alright," because he might be hungry or something. See what I'm saying? It's two different codes, but that's why it's an individual person. Like, you know how many times you probably grew up, like, you have siblings, right? You probably grew up in the same household, and there's two or three different sides, and you got different siblings, right? Like, I'm gonna say a number. You got three siblings. You different from one sibling, the sibling is different from both of y'all. And it's like, how the hell are we so different when we grew up in the same house? You know what I mean? It
Mm-hmm.
all depends on what you intake or what you feel is acceptable towards the individual. One person might say, "Yo, it's always good to help out our mom and dad." The other one might say, "You know what? I'm gonna help out myself, so I ain't gonna be responsible." And the third one might say, "I'm gonna help out the entire house. I may help you with your chores. I may help mom to cook. I may help dad cut the grass. Whatever it is." It's three different things that you learn, so the morality could be different for each and every one of us. That's why it's an individual situation.
Let's be what up, though, sir? Let's be in the building.
Hey,
Can you hear
Liz.
me? Oh, okay. Yeah,
No, you good.
but that's what I'm saying. Is just at the end of the day, like, what are the fruits of your labor? Like, where have and like I said, what kind of impact do you have on other people? We went to my godson's birthday Saturday, and me and my wife, we just I'm goofy, like I said, no matter where I'm at. I'm tripping over shit, stepping on, bro. I was wearing some tactical boots, and I stepped on probably like three people's ankle. It's like, how do you walk in front of me and not say excuse me? I'm supposed to. I didn't see him. When I look straight ahead, I can't see short people, bro. So I'm stepping on people, and one person got mad, and I'm like, bro, look, I'm legally blind. You walked in front of me, I'm gonna walk over you. I'm too damn big to be trying to stop when something I can't see is under me. It's your responsibility not to walk into the big motherfucker. What wrong with you? I bet.
Stop, stop being gigantic. Stop being gigantic. I mean, you can't look down on. Well, you literally have to look down on people anyhow. That's just who you are. You tall
I
like
ain't
that.
that tall. I'm 6 foot. I ain't that tall. It's just I'm around a bunch. Look, and this is not stereotyping, but I was just around a bunch of Middle Easterns and Mexicans and some white people. So everybody was just shorter than me for some reason. I'm stepping on people's ankles. I'm like, what the hell? I heard ah chihuahua or something like that. I don't know what the lady said, but she tried to walk right in front of me. You did not see me? No, I did not see you. You down there. I'm up here. Leave me the hell alone. You like 4'11". You not see me?
So,
No.
oh, but see, even on here, right? Like your consistency, the reception part of it, right? How do the people receive your morality? You can be doing everything right. Somebody finds something as a flaw. That's I think that's one of the reasons why we're so divided as a group of people, not a race of people, right? Because you can be operating in a good moral code, and somebody say, well, you're doing that wrong because of A, B, and C, right? LD, what's going on? It's just
LD, what
crazy,
up,
right?
though, bro?
Because we can, for example, there's a lot of us saying the same thing, right? We're all saying that we want to help people A, B, and C. We all could be doing it, right? But the way your moral carries it could piss somebody off way over there because that's not what they want to do. That's not their moral compass. That you understand, and then it'll divide you because you want your moral code to be right instead of the moral being correct. You see what I'm saying? It's because it's not mine. It's the same thing. Like people have to get out of the way. If there's something to fulfill, and the morals are pure and genuine, it shouldn't matter whose moral it is. But you just got so many people that feel like, hey, like they might say, oh, my morals is right because I don't cuss as much as everybody else. Your morals may be different because you use ninja instead of the N word. See what I mean? Like, oh, he think he better than somebody. No, it's just my moral. My morality says I shouldn't be calling people. I don't want to call people the N word. My morality says I shouldn't be up there using profanity as much as everybody else. It doesn't mean I'm better than you. That's just how I carry myself. There shouldn't be nothing wrong with it. But of course, people want to find something wrong with whatever you do anyhow.
And see, that's the thing. Like, I'm sorry, bro. I just feel like the majority of the people want to be part of a collective consciousness. Like, if people only really feel comfortable if things are like them, that's when people feel comfortable. As soon as you get some differences, it'd be like, oh shit, people get all jittery and shit. Like, that shit weird to me, bro. But you're right. It's like that's what like even like conversations like this. I don't give a fuck what nobody morals is, bro. I really don't. I'm being honest. I don't care. I don't care. Like how people moral. I don't because it ain't gonna do. I ain't about to drive myself crazy. I don't. The people I deal with. That's when I start caring. But the average everyday person, look, I can't help everybody. If people go do what they want to do, right? That's just how I feel about life. I used to be one of them people like, well, you just have to show people and then they can. Nah, man, look, motherfuckers grown. When people ready to do better, that's when they start looking and putting themselves in positions to do better. Me trying to convince somebody that you should do better, nah, bro, I'm straight. So even when it comes to people morals, like if I'm dealing with you, okay, you gotta. I'm as Ozzy would say, I'm fickle. Like you gotta show me. If you'll be in my circle, you gotta show me you deserve to be in that circle. That's where I'm at in life. You gotta show me. You gotta prove that. You gotta be trustworthy. You gotta be respectful. I'm not bringing you around my family. And that's just my life experience, right? What I've been through. So that's
Oh,
what it taught me.
yeah, that's definitely that's more of a common thing as well, right? Because at the end of the day, as long as you have people that you love and care, you're gonna do your best to keep them out of harm's way. So
To
of course you
protect them.
got to show and prove. You're always gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
show and prove that type of scenario, right? Like it's an honor for me if when I speak to you when you know when you got the kids and all that, right? Because not everybody has that privilege. Not everybody has that honor to see what it is that you actually go through on an everyday basis. That's not consistent of you doing a live. See what I mean? No,
Mm-hmm.
it's very few people to have that access to you. So you have to be a solid person in order to get access. This is not like, all right, I'm gonna hit the anybody can hit this. Your life is not an open panel. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
not. You have to be that person of you know good rapport, right? You can say moral, but we're gonna say good rapport. But your consistency in that rapport is gonna allow you to open up doors where other people can't. So if you want to put morals instead of rapport, then that's how it has to. You can do that. But your consistency shows you the ways to unlock doors where your ego would.
And that's what that's in general, right? Like even on this line, like you said, I rock with you online, offline. I can't fuck with everybody, bro. I can't do it. I can help people, but I can't rock with everyone. Like everybody can't be my friend. Like in real life, on here we can be cool or whatever, but in real life, everybody can't be my friend, bro. Because it's like if you, I put myself in a position that I'm in, and I understand it's my responsibility to keep myself in this position, right? And what I've learned in life is it's not only you, but it's the people around you that will determine your failure or success, right? So I can't do like yes man in real life. Don't fuck with them because they keep saying yes, 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 and put you in a position where you go fail, and they just gonna be yesing behind you, and they go drain you, and then they go find somebody else to say yes to. That's just life, bro. Those cycles, certain cycles in life, keep getting repeated. So it gives us an example, consistent example of what things lead to. So I mean, at the end of the day, it takes a special type of person to be like cool with me because I'm gonna be what I'm gonna be, right? I don't give a fuck what nobody think. I'm always open to criticism, but judgment, I don't really care. Like when people start judging me, I can tell the difference. When people are actually critiquing me, even if they critiquing me and can't articulate themselves well, I still understand that. But it's the judgment that I don't really care because it's like, so what? That's your opinion. That's your thought. I ain't asked for it, so it ain't valuable to me. But a critique to me is very valuable because it's usually a person who has some type of, um, care for you. Is usually, point things out.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, that's how would you say that? That's a reserved role, right? Only certain people can get that, right? Now let's look at an example real quick, right? Uh Antonio Brown. We're just gonna say his name real quick. Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown got people around him that say, "Yeah, you should be cursing people out. Yeah, you should tell these people to do whatever you want to do. Yeah, you should be filming uh 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 uh, uh locker room conversations, knowing good and well what we say in that locker room is for our ears only. But now you allowing people to come in, and you got your yes people saying, "Yo, that's how you show them. That's you your own man and all that." Where does it get you? It gets you kicked off. It gets you kicked out of the league. It gets you, uh, 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 not having the authority to place or do something that you used to love to do. Now, where's all the yes people now that you are doing nothing? You see what I mean? You gotta
Mm-hmm.
have that love and concern for a person. Yes is not all. Yes is not the end all answer, right? You should say, okay, for example, uh, word. I think we should talk about chakras a little bit more. Yeah, we should talk about chakras because we're trying to help people this and this, and then you decide, you know what? Nah, I ain't talking about it. All right, so what do you want to talk about? You know what I mean? It's not okay, but I think you should. Nah, we ain't gonna talk about it. No, we'll have that conversation later. All because if understand that's something that you feel you're able to receive, you give it. People don't have that understanding that sometimes you have to stand on your principles in order for somebody to hear or understand what you're saying at the same time. It may improve them, it may not. Allow them to have that decision, not you.
And that's where I'm at now, bro. It's just that's why I said I just come on here and share. You use the word teach, people to get offense to that. People take, well, how you go teach? What you look, man, everybody has potential to teach. You know something I don't know. I know something you don't know. If you expose me to something and I learn the way you taught the byproduct of teaching. That's if I learned something from you, therefore you taught. But yeah, these people weird, bro. People weird, man. Everybody has something to offer, man. And just I don't know. It's just how people experience life. Yeah, I went through metamorphosis, different ways of thinking throughout life. My little short 40 years, you know. So, I mean, it's just experience, and best experience is life. Life itself, practicing different things. You get these concepts, right? And you put them to play. Like until I practiced Buddhism, I didn't understand why these people were so like nonchalant. Like they so fucking nonchalant. They like so laid back and cool. Then when you start practicing, like you understand like why they how they get to that inner peace. And living in America is definitely hard. Just living around people is hard, but there's so many different temptations here in America that other people don't have. Like when you travel and see, they got their own different temptations, but like this is I understand why people call this Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh shit. But yeah, so like practicing Buddhism, it just it helps me now, even to this day, to get back to what it truly is being in the moment. You know, oftentimes we'll be in the moment, but a thought will take us either in the past or the future. You know, and depending on how we feel about it, you know, that's where our attention is. And like Buddhism, one of the main lessons is life is suffer, you know, and then it breaks down to why we suffer is because our desires. What we desire tends to make us suffer. That's why they say let everything go, and that's how you end suffering is by letting everything go because there's nothing to desire, so there's no more suffering. But that's hard. That's very hard to do.
I was about to
Very
say
hard
that
to do.
that's one of the hardest things to do. But even with that, you got to have the discipline to withstand all of that, right? You got to go through a thing, right? That's why a lot of the time, not even in a spirituality mode. You just got to learn what what you need in life, right? So if you sacrifice something, right, like go for a fast, right? You go through a food fast. If you understand that you ain't supposed to have that thing, and you fast it away, the strength of it will allow it to go in a different direction. So you don't have to crave that chocolate chip cookie. You don't have to crave that that cola. You know what I mean? It's about the discipline and how you can maintain and manage it once you get away from it. Instead of making that a need, you could turn it into a want. But the discipline of a thing is always going to be an attribute that you need to establish to control whatever you think that you desire, and see if you really needed to need to desire it, or is it just like a momentary, not a phase, but a momentary situation.
Let me show you this. So, like, I live life off of duality. Like, I really live off the universal principle, universal laws, the 12 laws. Like most people, use. Okay, I ain't gonna get into that. But I live off of that, and I think one of the biggest misconceptions is the word sacrifice. I don't truly believe you can sacrifice anything. I think that word is just, I know you can. I'm not gonna say that. I know you can sacrifice things, but I think a sacrifice is a negative aspect. And like even what you just said. So say if I want to stop smoking, I gotta sacrifice nicotine, the craving. Like give me a sacrifice. Give me something to sacrifice. Because I can't I can't think right now. But give me something else that like you consider sacrifice. Is it what you just said?
Okay, for example, if you a person that you feel that you gotta have fried chicken, right? Oh, I shouldn't even. Well, right, we're gonna go with the fried chicken aspect. I don't want. So you go with the fried chicken aspect. Like you know. Now let's say for 40 days you don't go with fried chicken, right? You sacrifice the fried chicken, and you come to a conclusion like, yo, I really did good. I may not desire the fried chicken after the 40 days because it was just something that I don't need. See, when you sacrifice, in my term of sacrificing, it's something that you think you can't go without, right? So, that's like a teenager right now, right? If a teenager goes 40 days without their phone, they will probably lose their mind. So if they sacrifice it and don't use it for the 40 days, they may turn around like, hey, it wasn't that bad. I can actually go a little longer without it. There could be that sacrifice becomes a life changing decision to where, okay, that might be extreme, but as far as when you have your phone, you might not be on social media as much because you got your phone, right? So that's what I mean by sacrifice. Like, okay, some people might say, you know what, I can't go a day without bacon.
Let me. Okay, so I got your concept. So let me tell you why that's not a sacrifice, right? Everything you just said. Are you getting something positive out of it?
Yeah.
So it's impossible to say it be a sacrifice. It's actually an investment. Think about when you take money and you put it somewhere and it makes more money. That's an investment. So if you're cutting something out and it's making you better, you're investing into yourself. That's not a sacrifice. Sacrifice is when you lose something. You're not losing
You
nothing.
do. You losing the negative aspect of thinking that you needed something. That's the
But
sacrifice.
that's not
That's
that's an
not
investment.
that's okay. Go ahead.
You investing into yourself. A sacrifice is like when God told Abraham to sacrifice his son. That's a sacrifice, right? Is the loss of something like life, like something that's valuable, something that's meaning. You fried chicken, that's not good for you. So that's actually you investing in yourself, doing the right thing. But those aren't in the concept is not interchangeable. But when you think of sacrifice, is the word itself, the concept is created around loss. But if you're gaining, you're not losing. Even if you I like Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid tastes good. I know it's bad for me. I just start drinking straight water. I cut all pop and stuff. That's not me sacrificing nothing. That's me investing into myself. That's how we need to look at it. That is an investment. But when you say sacrifice, that's why people are so reluctant to go through these modifications and changes, because they think they losing something. And that's why they be at conflict. Because you're sacrificing something. No, you invest. If you think, oh, I'm investing, if you know you can put something into something and you go get something out of it, how's that? That's not a sacrifice. That's an investment. You'll be more willing to put more and more and more in. And that's even into yourself. If you knew you can have the life you desire by letting the things go you don't desire, if you knew that, you will be investing in yourself. Moving
So
out of
do
the
you
hood
think
is
that?
an investment. Learning a
Right.
new word a day is an investment. Yeah, it might take away time that you was bullshitting with, but learning something new a day, that's an investment. You might
So
can't
let
watch
me.
cartoons or your favorite show for an hour. Instead of watching that favorite show for an hour, you putting your nose in a book. You're learning something. You're growing something. You know what I'm saying? You outside doing something. You invest in that time differently to make what you do today will determine your life tomorrow. So anything that me not smoking because I had that crave, that's not a sacrifice. That's an investment.
So do you think? Do you believe that's why that religious aspect doesn't work because of the concept? That concept that I'm talking about.
I think no, I think people just misinterpret it and misunderstand. Like what fasting is. Fasting is not a sacrifice. Fasting is an investment into self. That's what fasting is. They teach that at the Moore Science Temple. Fasting is not.
I
Fasting is not a sacrifice. It's nothing to do with sacrifice. You're not sacrificing. You're investing into yourself. Whatever you cut out, you're cutting it out because it's non-beneficial, and you know it. You know this is
I
not
think
helping.
yeah, but
You
I
cutting
think
it
the
out.
concept. I think the concept of you giving something up is a loss. I think that's the concept of the that idea that you're giving something up, right? Even if you think it's an investment, you're giving up something that has become a normalcy to you, right?
Okay, so
So
if okay,
somebody that's been smoking for 20 years, right? So now they decide, I'm gonna give it up to gain in your term to invest in my well-being, but they are losing something that is a normalcy to them. You see what I'm saying? I think that's the concept of the thing. We know you're investing into it because all sacrifices is an investment. If that's the case, like you said, right? So,
no,
for
there's some
example,
things you don't gain. You don't gain from. If Abraham would have killed his son, what would he wouldn't have gained nothing. He would have lost. Sacrifice is a loss. You lose something. Usually, it's life. Like when you even look at the term sacrifice and then look at the term investment. What I'm telling you is people been using these in the wrong context. It's just been used in the wrong context because they're
but can't you
similar, but
lose
they're
in
not
an
the same.
investment? Can't you
Can you
lose in an
lose an
investment?
investment? No, nope. How you
You
lose an
can't lose an
investment?
investment.
Now you're talking about like stocks and stuff. Nah, when you
That's an
investing, you
investment.
talking about you talking about an investment. I'm talking about investing into yourself. You're talking
Oh,
about
into
an
yourself.
investment.
Okay. Okay. I'm saying the
Anything.
word investment.
No, but even investing and investment is two different things. It's the same word, but it's used. The context is different. Investing and investment. Investment is already done. Investing is what you're currently doing. You see what I'm saying? So if you're investing
Hmm.
into yourself, but when you say can you lose on an investment, what put it into context? How you lose on an investment?
So what's the past tense of investing?
Invested? But I'm asking you, like from what you said, can you lose on an investment? Explain to me, show me an investment you can lose.
I guess it was. So what is investment in its actual word?
You
Because I
thinking
guess
you thinking of
we've been
you
using that
thinking
word
of
wrong.
you're looking in financial terms, like an
No,
investment, like I
I'm
put
saying
money
what
into
I'm just
this.
saying the definition of investment. What is the term of investment? What is the definition of investment? Because this, just like many of the other words, we may have taken that word and put it into a thing where it doesn't belong, giving it a meaning that it should not have. Because if I invested 10 years into a thing and I lose my leg, was it worth it? Did you know, see what I'm saying? Like if I play football and I invested 20 years in football and now I'm not able to walk, did I gain or did I lose?
Did you make money?
Probably so. I guess I would assume so if I played 20 years, but a lot of those years you ain't make no money
And why didn't you make money?
because I was too young.
You,
I started at 5. So if you blow your leg out, so
well, you
a high schooler that loses his leg, his who gets paralyzed. That's an extreme. I don't even want to use that because that was kind of extreme, even when I said it. Okay, so let's read what investment is. The action or process of investing money for profit or material result. So investment is investing according to that first definition. Let's go to the second one. A thing that is worth buying because it may be profitable or useful in the future. A used car is really a good investment. An act of devoting time, effort, or energy to a particular undertaking with the expectation of worthwhile result. The time spent in attending a one-day seminar is an investment in our professional future. Archaic is the surrounding of a place by hostile force in order to besiege or blockade it. Okay. So pretty much, uh, so we have to look up investing.
What up, Nines?
what up, nine?
What up, Nine?
What up, Nines? Rachel, you're here. We got here at the same time. Or you beat me to it, actually.
Oh snap! We crossed the border together. Who finished the line first?
Oh, snap.
Oh, y'all crossed the border. Trump looking for
Riders
y'all.
carried me on her back across the
Oh
river.
man, shit!
Not the Rio
Right?
Grande.
Damn.
Que
Why we
pasó?
call wetbacks?
Hey,
Right? We
Gary.
crossing the dry. What? Crossing deserts and shit.
Knowing
We
is
call us
half the battle.
wetbacks.
There you go, Commander. No one is happy. That's what Coach D is teaching right now. He's teaching right now. Get him, Coach.
You guys lost me. I'm confused. I don't really know like what you guys are talking about.
Well, right
So it's
now we was talking about. We was talking about. I was saying when you sacrifice something, he was saying that he don't think that sacrificing is like investing into yourself, so you're not really losing per se. I'm paraphrasing
but
pretty
like
much.
what's
I
the
hope I'm
point?
saying
Like
it correctly.
what are we trying to learn here? Like we the people in the chat or who are listening, what are we trying to learn? How to
I'm
invest in
trying to.
ourselves? Or
He's
how to
saying
invest
when
in
you
other
invest.
Self-reflect.
people?
No,
Go ahead. I'm letting him
self-reflecting.
explain.
Just self-reflecting today. Just looking at where you at and how you got there. You know, and
I had
I was
I
just
had
telling
used the
Gary.
term sacrificing, and he was like, well, you don't really lose. Well, in that term, sacrificing, you're not losing. You're investing in yourself, so you're gaining. You're not losing. And I was just saying, sometimes when you lose a normalcy thing, right? So for example, you decide to eat healthy. That means you lose the normalcy of eating junk food, right?
I think, Gary, what you're trying to say is like this. Like, what we're trying to say is like you're investing in yourself, you're sacrificing, but at the end of the day, you benefit. And then what Gary's trying to say is like someone that's not used to making those choices, they feel like it's a sacrifice to give up something in the moment, even though in the end they'll see the benefit. But in the moment, it feels like a big sacrifice to make changes.
I mean, in totality, I think we're saying the same thing, but I'm just trying to allow him to. I'm trying to make the point of how sacrificing is when you actually lose the game. When you're losing something to gain something.
That's not
Yeah, it feels
sacrifice.
like a sacrifice, but what we're saying, it's not necessarily a sacrifice because you benefit from it.
But that's what I'm saying. Sacrifice is you losing something, right? And but I totally understand what Gary's saying, but that's what I'm saying. That's the problematic part about it is because when people think sacrifice, I'm losing something. That's why people are so reluctant, and it's so hard for them to change habits. Like, oh, I'm gonna stop.
Right. It's like a mind trick. Like when people think they're like when people want to lose weight, they say that. They say like you have to trick your mind because when your mind thinks that you're losing something, then you want it more.
And that's where I was saying, maybe we have to. I was asking, is that the reason why that process of sacrificing doesn't work for people? And then we went down, what investing and the investment in the word invest in totality, what it really was. So that's where we were with the conversation. I ain't mean to lose anybody, but
Y'all
you
did.
know,
Y'all just threw me down a rabbit hole, and now I know that in the 16th century it meant one thing. Then what we know of it now, it started in the 17th century.
here you go. She's back.
Y'all started it.
But I think like
But
like
word is
some
right.
things
Word is right, though.
you can see like the benefit right away. And the things that I feel like word is talking about are things that we don't necessarily see the benefit right away. It's more like a long game. Like morals and the choices we make in life, we may not necessarily see like the benefit
The
right away,
result.
the
No,
result
you're
right
not.
away. Hmm.
Like even treating somebody kind, you know what I'm saying? You don't see the benefits right away. That person might be a dick to you, but you still gave him grace, and later on, you in a position where somebody that's nice to you. I was at we was at a dollar store, right? And right around the time, like two of my cards got hit. My PayPal got hit, so my one bank account got hit. It was connected to the whole fucking bank account, and then my other bank card got hit. So I only had a credit card, right? And I didn't even activate the damn card. I'm like, swiping it ain't going through, and this dude, I'm calling my mom like, hey, shoot me $10 real quick so I can pay for this. Man, this dude walked past and dropped the 10. He was like, don't worry about it, and just walked out the store. So you know what I did?
Nice.
I took that the next day. I went to Dollar General, and there was a lady behind me. She had some stuff, uh, and I was like, "Can you put this on her tab?" And gave the lady 10. And then this dude bought my wife a scratch off ticket. She won $30 yesterday. I was random, just gave it. But it's like you just keep playing it forward, man. People just do nice shit when you're a nice person. You just vibe, and it's really a frequency. Like people don't believe in all that woo woo stuff. Okay, cool. That's why the energy you give off, people probably don't want to fuck with you or approach you, right? But if you're giving off a approachable energy, nice people gonna be willing to approach you and do nice shit for you. That's just how the world works, bro.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Positive and a positive should be a positive. It should never, you know what I mean? It should never, like, if I give good vibes, you get good vibes. We should not receive negative vibes. But like
like
this,
a way of life.
it's a great concept.
Yeah, I mean, you go get negative. I mean, it exists in the world. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm telling you, what you go attract is more positive. You know, and eventually you're gonna be repelling the negative stuff. Like if people who want to come over here and talk shit about me, but I'm too damn positive for them to do it and feel good about themselves. They know it ain't gonna be fun. It ain't gonna be fun because they ain't gonna be able to get under my skin. They ain't gonna be all the normal shit that work. It ain't gonna work with me, and they know that. That's why they don't come fucking with me. It's like you build an aura, man. People will try you and test you, yeah, to see how far they. Some people like challenges, you know, and I'm able to read all this as I'm interacting with you. That's why all the time I just sit back and chill, man. I'd be cool. I let a person rock out the first time I meet them just to see how far they're willing to go. And sometimes I have to step in and say so. But after that, I done read the person. So I know how to interact with them. And it ain't out of malice intent. It's just, that's just, I don't know. But that's even patience with people because in real life, I ain't got patience with people like that. I don't fuck with people. I'm being real. I'm always transparent. I don't fuck with a lot of people because people weird. You get to moving funny around me, I'm gonna move first. That's just my first. That's just who I am. If you get to moving funny around me in real life, I'm gonna move first. I got shit to protect, right? So I don't fuck with everybody because everybody ain't built to fuck with me like that, you know. But like on here, it's cool because there's a lot of space and you know what I'm saying. So I'm more patient. I'm more tolerable with people on here. The people
And
are
sometimes it's a
liabilities, man.
challenge.
Yeah, yeah, it is a challenge. But that way I can work on myself too, you know, at a safe distance. I'm able to interact with different personalities that I would not fuck with in real life. Because some people snap at down, man, y'all better turn the TV on. What the fuck wrong with these people out there? People turn on you, even on the internet, man. Look how people be cool as hell one day. You be watching them, they be on the panel laughing. Next day, you mother effer, you this, you that, you stupid. I be like, God damn, I thought y'all liked these dudes. Like, even if I've been cool with people on here and they done went off on me, I'd be like, damn, for real, all right, you know, have a nice life, man. I'll probably rebuttal some shit, but I ain't about to go in on nobody who I'm cool with, bro. That's not my personality. You know, but people talk about morals and values. The first chance they get, they sticking it to you. And it's like, for real? Where's your morals and values? I don't think people,
Yeah, I was about to say, I
like,
don't
I
think
hear
people
people
know what
say
more.
shit. No, I be hearing
Uh-huh.
people say shit. I just don't see people do shit. I don't like nothing they do is like people are so disrespectful and so quick to disrespect somebody. Like, damn, do you even got respect for yourself? Like, I come online, like the other night, I got mad because I'm like, my family, man, bro, y'all seen my mom and dad over there. They've been on the panel with me. Like we have fun,
Uh-huh.
we rock out, but I don't be doing no dis. I don't disrespect nobody race. I don't disrespect nobody religion. None of that. People just foul, bro, and be like, "Oh, well, what I say shouldn't hurt your feelings." Like, yeah, that's ideal, but that's not fucking reality, bro. It's a thing called dignity. It's a thing called respect. I'm not gonna sit up here and say I'm gonna make a racist joke, but I'm not racist. Fuck, I want to make a racist joke for? What does that say about your character, bro? For you to even say some shit like that? Like really? I'm gonna say racist joke, but I'm not racist. What 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 motivates you to want to say? Why do you think that now somebody say something about you that you are bent out of shape and shit?
Yep. But
Like
what
that
you
shit
know,
fucking. I don't fuck with people like that in real life. Hell no. But you're a
but
liability, son.
yeah, because you might spark a fire that don't need to be sparked, or spark a fuse rather. You know what I mean? That's why I was saying, you know what I always say, sometimes your intent don't trump somebody's feelings. Like even if, like I said, we had the conversation a while ago. when you say I'm sorry and it's not genuine. I mean, you don't even know what you're saying sorry for. Your intent is just to apologize, but somebody may not receive it because you don't even know what you're apologizing for. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you have to understand the strength and the potency of words. I don't care what nobody's saying. Like I said, people read a word and said, you know what, we're gonna go on a crusade. That word gave you confirmation. You know what I mean? Like how you say, you have a personal jihad that that goes on with you. People take that word jihad and they would have said, "Yo, that's offensive." Why is it offensive? Because it's a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Like people have a tendency of misusing words and weaponizing it, and I don't think a lot of people understand. If you have the morality to understand how potent that a word is, you would know how to control it. Just like ninja, you don't say ninja because it may spark somebody to go off like who the, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't understand the power of words, you would never understand, you know, how far that thing can spark something.
Words create perception, perception create influence, influence create thought, thought create behavior. That's how that shit break down. That's how that shit break down. But our words are very fucking powerful. People can choose to exclude them or say this or that, but the reality is words have impact on people. The way on people emotions. I can say something that triggers somebody. Words are spells, bro. You creating a perception. That perceptions create influence. That influence create thought. So if a non-black person used the nigger word, right, it might trigger me and Gary differently. I might be like, they ignorant. Gary might be like, who the fuck is you talking about? You disrespecting my aunt. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell Gary how to feel. He can't tell me how to feel. We
Yeah, and
just gotta
someone else
respect
might
how
think it's
one another
funny.
feels. Yeah. We just gotta respect how everybody feels. And look, I'm not a disrespectful person. I can be, but not by nature. You know what I'm saying? I don't wake up thinking about how can I disrespect people. Some people do, and that's their thing, but I don't. So when we talk about morals, that's important that I don't disrespect nobody because I'm not trying to disrespect myself. For me coming on here acting any other way than I naturally am, that'd be disrespectful to my people. 'Cause to me, my name means something. That's just to me. I represent my family.
Right. And not only that, like when you on this app, right? Not only does your name mean something, your brand means something because now your name becomes a brand. And now because it's a brand, it's held to a standard because of your consistency of what you portray on your content, right? So if you are Coach D, right, people want to expect you to give instructions or to manage certain things around you, right? That's what a coach does. Coach manage, like it depends on what type of coaching you do. If you are a sports coach, you gotta manage somebody's ego, or you gotta instruct people how to do certain things as far as a sport. You got to show them how to run a route, or you got to show them how to keep your eye on the ball when you swing, or how to flick your wrist when you shoot a jump shot. You see what I'm saying? Your your brand become your name becomes a brand, and that's what it turns into because now you have to be consistent at it. So any inconsistency could jeopardize your name or your brand. So people should be respecting that with understanding, which is a part of morals. You have to have your own understanding to understand how your morals may affect people to a certain extent. And, and I don't think a lot of people are so selfish they don't understand that, you know, there's no I in team or I in we. So in generally and all of that stuff, there's no I in that. In other words, you can't be selfish when you're around a group of people. You have to understand that there's more of them than it is of you. You must remove yourself to make it a better place for everybody else and not just yourself.
And Commander, I just seen this. If I invest my time in a relationship and lose it, the word and Gary. So if you invest your time in a relationship, you you're getting something out of it, right? And check this out: if the person ain't good for you and you lose, is it really a loss or is it a gain? You can be investing your time into the wrong thing, and that's why they say God moves mountains. Because sometimes we don't want to let something go because we invested the time, but it's not beneficial to it. So once it get cut out, it's actually something we gaining. It may take a minute for us to understand it, but and then what did you
So
learn within that time you invested? You learn what
so
you
in
don't
that
like. So that's actually a game too. You're getting clarity of what
right,
you don't desire. So,
right. So that's what I was saying as well. Like, so many people, like in that, especially in that scenario, people don't like to lose. So they won't consider that an investment because they're losing. You see what I mean? Like they only see the loss but not the gain.
and that's
I made the
perception.
comments in the chat before I understood what you guys were talking about.
Yeah. Oh no, but I was just breaking that part down because even that even see it, everything is based upon. That's why I introduced that story of Nova to y'all. You know, uh,
Yeah,
because a lot of times we think things are negative and we look at it as a loss, but we don't understand the gain until we can understand the totality of what's really occurring. And oftentimes, like I said, we even the perception of what a loss is. You can't lose if you gain. It's not a loss. You gain.
it's not
It's
a
like
sacrifice.
it's not a sacrifice. So one of the laws of logic is, law of identity. You can't have two things in the same space.
But I thought that to sacrifice, it had to be something valuable to you.
Sacrifice is you losing. There's no.
No, I mean, for you to sacrifice something, it means that you're sacrificing something valuable, right?
To
It has to
you.
be
To you.
valuable to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
So,
But
I
that's what
mean,
I was saying.
I wouldn't
Right.
see a
Right.
diet or something like that being valuable to me. It would. So, damn.
But
I'll
but
go with the
Time.
word
but
on,
the
yeah.
fact,
Sacrifice for me would be sacrificing my child. And that's not something I'm willing to do. See my point? That's crazy. I get what he's because I'm reading
It,
everything up and I'm comparing the both past
it,
terminology, present terminology, and that's crazy.
because it's something you lose. You're not gaining. So if you lose something, it has to be valuable, or it's not a loss.
damn, I
I
don't even
feel
like that
you.
story now because that whole story was crazy because he did lose something. In all reality, he lost his firstborn son,
Who?
Abraham.
He didn't sacrifice.
Say it again.
He didn't sacrifice.
Yes, he did.
Who Abraham sacrificed?
Ishmael. He gave up his son for the other son.
Mm. But was it a sacrifice if he had a gain?
No, I'm just saying because remember it. Well, in the story, he was very proud because that was his only son. That was Ishmael was his only son. So once he got uh, Isaac, the wife told him, "Yo, you gotta get rid of that kid." Get rid of that kid. Nah, get rid of that kid. He didn't even want to do it. He felt the law. He knew he was losing because he had 13 years with that kid. But
And what
the
did he
reason
gain?
why,
So hold on, you talking about? I'm talking about when God commanded them to sacrifice him.
no, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying he sacrificed Ishmael first.
So you said he gave Ishmael up?
Right, for Isaac.
That's not a sacrifice.
That's a trade.
It's not a sacrifice. He didn't actually
But
lose Ishmael. He just gave him up. I mean, Ishmael is still there. The
Ishmael was
sacrifice,
where? Ishmael never came back until he died.
but that's what I'm saying. He didn't kill him.
But he
Sacrifice,
sacrificed, like being with his son, having him close, like having that relationship with his son. He
He
sacrificed.
gave up the son that he loved for the son he didn't know.
he gave up the son he loved for the son
For the,
God gave him. For the son God promised him.
Which was
So
his reward.
first of all, he was disobedient to God in the first place. So he gained something that wasn't promised to him. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to inherit God's covenant, you had to invest, and your investment was letting your first son go. He didn't tell. He told him to off him at first, but then he spared him.
Word. Is there word, there's 4 faces to sacrifice? I mean
This is so before.
then she go in the
So,
rabbit hole.
no,
What
I'm
up, Wild
listening
Heart?
and I'm learning and researching. I'm the type that research
Get
as
it?
y'all talk.
no. So what it is you can say faces is 4 levels or 4 ideologies of sacrifice. I think that's probably the best way to say it. That's
Yeah,
why
because
they say faces.
I'm
It's
trying to
like
figure
4.
this
Uh-huh.
out. Yeah, it says the profeto, the immolato, the immolatio, the slaughtering. I know that one. In the
Yeah.
banquet.
But see,
The
they
slaughtering.
just talking about biblical ways of sacrifice.
Oh, okay. I was
So
ready to say.
Wildheart had his hand up. What up, though, Wildheart?
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, if someone died, then that will be a sacrifice. If they didn't, then it's not.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
But
it
people will
is.
sacrifice, like right back in the day, they sacrificed animals or
Yeah.
people for a
Yeah.
gain, for a benefit. Not just it's not just because,
Oh,
right?
no.
And for them, it
No,
was an investment. They felt like the gods was gonna reward them. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying?
which
So
was
even now, if they didn't get nothing out of it, then that's a sacrifice.
which will still be immoral. But
Who made the first sacrifice in the Bible?
But so you saying you can't lose an investment? You can't lose in an investment. That's what you're saying.
If you don't get nothing in return, it becomes a sacrifice. If there's no gain, it's a sacrifice.
I would say
Gotcha.
that I would say that
You see
any
what I'm saying?
I would say that any
Gotcha.
sacrifice I would say that any sacrifice, human or animal, is immoral. You shouldn't kill something to get what you want of God. Clearly immoral.
So some people end up in jail, and then they say that they're happy because they became better people.
The animals
Like
that
they
got
ended up benefiting.
killed and
You
killed,
know, back in the days
they
that
weren't happy. I don't think they were dead.
was Wildheart speaking.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Why he was so low? My bad. That's why I was like, wait, can I talk?
Oh, sorry.
Or somebody talking?
I was just saying the animals that God wanted sacrificed and the people that God wanted sacrificed. I don't think they were happy. It's not like going to prison and they're happy. They're dead. They're not happy. They're dead.
Yo, wait a minute. But listen, did y'all know that back then they used to how can I say put animals to trial, like they do to humans and shit, like put them in jail and stuff like that, and kill
Yeah,
them and sacrifice them.
you
Put them in
know,
front of a judge, Commander Gary.
Animals?
Oh, they do
Word.
that with people.
sacrificing someone.
They was doing that with animals back then.
What
No,
were
they
the
I said
animals?
people.
I thought it was
animals
bullshit,
in jail.
and I really went down that rabbit hole off
So
of
they
a
didn't put
God.
animals in jail.
That's
They
why I'm
just
looking at word. What you gotta say? I know you know.
no, they never put animals in jail.
But
You
that's
know what?
why I was using. Go ahead, what?
Because they can't
No,
commit
I was
crime.
about to say honestly, I've never I've read stories. I read like literature within history, and it like in the medieval times they try to they put a horse to trial,
Okay,
uh, and it was something else. I
it was
think
a pig. The
a
pig,
who
the pig that
a boar. Yeah.
allegedly tore the kid apart or something like that in the home.
So it doesn't matter. Do you think it's ever right, morally correct, to sacrifice a human or an animal? Does God think that's morally correct ever?
Man, we not even talking about that, bro. We talking about
I thought you were talking
what
about
you.
sacrifice to God.
No, we talking about instead of looking at things as a sacrifice when trying to change behavior, look at it as an investment. And we were defining what sacrifice and investment meant, like the difference between the two, just changing the ideology. So, like, say for instance, you wanted to stop smoking,
Yeah.
and Gary was saying people look at it as a sacrifice because you're cutting out something that's been normalized to you. And I was saying that's the problem why people don't change habits because we looking like we losing instead of looking at what we gaining. So that's more of an
Right.
investment if you stop smoking.
Right. Sorry, I thought you were talking about like human sacrifice to God and that. Sorry. I'll
Oh
catch
no,
up.
we was running down through the origin of the word sacrifice. That's what Riders was. Yeah, she was just looking at the origin of sacrifice.
Sometimes get lost when we start looking into the word
Yeah,
too.
yeah. We go too far. I feel
They
like
like to
Elsa.
delineate. No, but that's how you get to the root of things and you understand how the word itself evolved and how it's in a lot of times you see where we start misusing words and concepts start blending them
Exactly.
because they're so similar. Because you are, like you said, take this away, then that's a sacrifice. But that's what we focusing on instead of look at what we gaining. So now if you look, okay, if I remove this to make space for this, that's just an investment of moving this what does not benefit me out the way so I can make room for something that does benefit me. That's more of an investment.
Right. That's the concept because people don't like to. People so focused on losing, as you were saying, that the moral of the story is that you're actually gaining instead of losing. Right. Like if
Yeah.
you if all right, like you just said an example, right? You got to give up smoking, right? That person might be mad because they've been doing it for 25, 30 years. Then you turn around and say, wait a minute, but my life, my lungs get cleaner, my breathing gets better, but we're so focused on what we used to do, we don't really, some people don't focus on the embetterment. But a lot of the time, like in the sacrifice that I was talking though, it does focus on the betterment because when you focus on that positive, like when you focus on getting closer to the creator, you're not even looking at what you're losing. That's the sacrifice in the whole scenario. But as you were saying, that's more the investment and not the sacrifice. So I do understand where you were going with that.
And see, like, I give you an example with my wife, right? When I first met her, I was like, look, we gonna put up $100 each from our check. We was working at the hospital. We'll put $100 up each, and in 3 years, we'll be able to go down to New Orleans and stay. And I was just showing her all these nice places, all these nice things we can do. But I said, in the meantime, it's gonna feel like we're losing something because that $100 we was used to doing this, going out to eat, so we just got to cut back on things, right? So you don't usually when you invest, like you were saying earlier, you don't see the immediate results. But 3 years later, we stand at the Royal Sinestra, right? This room, bro, was like $1,600 a night. We eating at the Rib Room. The average meal on the menu was $80. We went down there and blew probably about $6 grand in a day, just enjoying life, having fun. But we was able to do that. You see what I'm saying? We cut out,
See,
and
that's
then we developed new habits, new budgeting. But that 3 years, not only did we put that $100 up each, but we was developing new habits.
I don't want to
And
hear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and while developing those new budgeting habits, we open up different doors. Because not only did we have the money we saved, we had probably about another 7-8 grand to blow just on that trip.
too rich for my blood now.
Just something small like putting up $100,
Yeah,
cutting back on
yeah,
this, cutting back on that. But you see the investment, like we gained so much from losing out on so little. We just made room for something new. That's all it really is. But if you look at it as a sacrifice, like you losing, you go. That's what you're gonna be focused on. This is what I'm telling you, man. Whatever you put your attention on, that's what your reality becomes. If you think all negative or bad things in your life, you will continue to see those. You will keep. You ain't gonna see the good shit that's coming your way. You too busy focusing on the bad shit.
Basically, investing makes you the investor.
Yeah.
That's all it said, because invest comes from the word investier, which came from the 1300s, which was used for. Hold on 1 second. Let me get back to it.
I mean, you know,
This shit
but
is crazy.
and like we said earlier, it just goes to show you how the words that we use are not being used in proper content, and so you like
That's true.
it's like what are we really doing here then? You know what I mean? Like
But my thing
what are
is,
we really doing?
that word changed. That word changed drastically because it came from the word investier, meaning to clothe. Right back then, from the 1300 into the 1600, right? Then it got and it was originally used with the same meaning as its Latin source. So invest was tailored from the Latin verb investere. So in the 1300 to the 1600s, it was meant to clothe. But when you look up investor, right, is to establish a person officially in a position of authority and etc. Invest, to put money into a firm or business, usually by buying shares in it in order to make a profit. Rundown of a vehicle or a driver to knock down. The hell was they rhyming just now? Yo, wait a minute. But damn, okay, where? Because I'm looking it up. I'm going down the origin, the rabbit hole, and then sacrifice. And it's crazy because when you look at sacrifice, it's like word was just saying, you have to sacrifice something of value. Other than that, otherwise you're not sacrificing nothing. Sacrifice is a borrowing from French. What is you borrowing from the French? All right. Where does the noun sacrifice come from? The earliest known use of the noun sacrifice in the Middle English period, 1150 to 1500 OEDS, whatever that means. Earliest evidence for sacrifice is from around 1250 in Kentish sermons. That's it. Sacrifice is a borrow from French.
Okay.
This shit is crazy. This one.
Sorry, that can't be true because people got sacrificed in the Bible. Jesus.
He going back to the Bible.
It can't come from the 1300s.
Now, see, this is where education comes in at, right?
To give up something.
This is where education, because I study etymology also. Most of the like when you reading today's Bible, even now, I'm gonna take you down a rabbit hole. Look up the word slave. There could be no slaves in biblical time.
Yeah,
Look up the word slave.
oh,
Okay. Now
don't
see,
get
this is okay, bro. Look, let me finish talking. There cannot have been a slave from the term slave we use today in biblical times because
yeah.
that word was not created at the
Oh yeah.
biblical era. It was
Yeah.
created the 1300s. What
Well,
you had in biblical times, I'm not done talking, were indentured servants. You had prisoners of war. They were
no,
not considered slaves because that term was not used in those times. That's what I'm telling you. That
no,
term
you're
was
wrong.
not around. They
No, you're
put
wrong.
it in the Bible.
No, you're wrong. The Hebrews people were indentured servitude. It says you can take slaves from the heathen around you, other countries, and keep them polite, carry their property, and you can beat them with a
So
rod.
you telling me in biblical times they was using the term slave?
Yeah.
That's
No,
what you're telling me.
not the word slave, obviously, because that's English. It wasn't
So what are
mentioned.
we talking? That's what I just. That's my whole argument. The
Yeah.
word slave cannot
Word
have
slave.
been used in biblical times because the word was
No,
not
but you're
created.
talking about the word.
They
Yeah,
had
but
no
they're
vowels.
slaves. They
He's
don't have
not arguing that there weren't slaves. He's arguing the name slave,
word.
like the
Oh
They
yeah.
word.
wasn't called
Word.
slaves,
They were called
Obviously,
something else.
obviously, the English
right?
word slave didn't exist. Yeah. That's,
That's what I'm saying. So when people say slave, even the concept of slave,
no,
like look up the word slave. It comes from the Slav people.
to
They
own
were considered slaves, the Slavic people.
no to own people's property is a slave, and they did that in biblical times. The concept existed back then, but the word didn't. I agree with you there.
That's all. That's what I was saying. So if the
Yeah.
word didn't exist, we can't use it. We can't say there were slaves in biblical terms.
Then you can't
We
read
have
an
to call them what they are.
no. Then you can't use an English Bible
Which is
because
what? Servants?
no
Indentured servitude.
because no English words
You,
existed back then, so you can't read an English Bible,
that's my whole point. Y'all don't know what the Bible said.
right? So you read the Bible in its original languages, all three.
I had the Torah read to me in Hebraic 6 times. I
Yeah.
have a
Right.
actual and it uses the grammatic, not the English. It uses
Yeah.
the grammatic.
And I
And even the word slave in Hebrew means they had two descriptions. They said it was a prisoner of war, someone
no.
captured, working they self up. And this is the difference too. Back then, and you can look this up historically, people they had a time period and then they were allowed to either assimilate into the culture or they were sent away.
No, there were
Well,
Hebrews, non-Hebrew slaves. One you could keep for 6 years or 7 years. The non-Hebrew slaves you could keep for life, own them as your property, and pass them down to your children as inheritance.
that didn't happen until that did not happen in biblical time.
Yeah, it's
They were called indentured
Exodus 21.
servitude. That's what
No,
they
they
were
won't.
called.
The
I'm
Hebrews were.
looking it up.
Read Exodus 21.
Bro, you telling me I'm talking about historical, you telling me about the Bible, bro. I'm talking about what the people actually did was documented. That's what
No,
I'm talking about.
the Bible.
So when you say the Hebrews, now you got to talk about the different people who captured the Hebrews because different people, it wasn't all the same people. The Canaanites did not treat the Hebrews like
No, I'm talking
the
about Hebrew.
Persians,
I'm talking about
like the Babylonians,
no. I'm talking
like the
about.
Romans.
Sorry, I thought you finished. I'm talking about God's laws, what He passed down to the Hebrews. God said you could keep slaves. You don't get
Well,
it
Well,
wrong.
these days we're slaves to ourselves. Not
I'm talking
everyone.
about look, bro. The Bible is allegory and parable. I'm talking about historical.
Oh,
I don't really. I mean, you don't even believe in the Bible and you arguing points of the Bible when no one is talking
oh,
about the
I thought
Bible.
you.
We talking about historical shit.
Yeah.
This ain't no Bible channel, bro. I fuck with facts.
Well, Okay.
We got a question. We got a question from LD in the chat.
But didn't you lose the immediate gain, nice lunch, for a long-term gain, nice hotel, which will be a sacrifice to make an investment? Am I getting it wrong? But this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to brainwash people to lose the ideology of sacrifice, right? That I want people to leave the word. It's not useful unless it's useful. Unless you about to go out and slaughter an animal and do all that. We that's where, like, even when Rachel was looking up, when you look up the ideology, that word was created to show a loss of something, right? To a loss of your personal something that was important to you, to something divine. That term was created. I'm not gonna say for religion, but basically,
I've actually got the definition up. It says an act of slaughtering an animal or person, or surrendering a possession as an offering to a deity. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. So, like,
Yeah, so it has
it's
a
no.
bad connotation.
Yeah, it has a bad
Right? So
connotation.
words trying to change the way we think.
Yeah,
For slaves, it was called service.
Yeah, but
this is what
you can't change the definition of the word.
This is what happens when you use words. It creates a perception. That perception creates an emotional. It creates an emotional attachment. Yeah, like an emotional, but it attaches emotionally to something, and usually it's something negative. You know, this is why they say words are spelled, because words create perception. You begin to think. The way you think, you feel. The way, and then it's like a cycle. You hear it,
but that
you
is
feel it, you think it, and then you act upon it.
But that is the definition of the word. You can't change that.
You said what?
That is the definition of the word. You can't change that, because that is the definition.
Yeah, we can't change it, but he's saying don't use it when you're wanting to make an investment.
It's not about changing it. It's about using it in the right context. That's what I'm telling people. Use
like
it
instead
in
of
the
me
right
saying
context.
I'm going to sacrifice my time to watch football with my husband, instead of saying it like a sacrifice, I should say I'm going to make an investment into my husband and my marriage by watching football with him.
Exactly. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It changes the way you think.
Then just use
Cosmic Fox. What did the fox say? Ding 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 ding.
What's up,
I couldn't
Cosmic?
wait to find like what the I used to do that in the OR. I had the whole OR going around going ding 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 ding. That was my shit.
That song is offensive to my people.
To the Fox people?
Yeah.
You see? Always gonna be someone that gets offended.
Because we don't say that. That's bad representation.
That's wrong word.
So what did the Fox say?
Kind of go like, yep.
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 I
Bon, what up, brother?
It's kind of overdone in the Fox community. Yeah. So
what's up, Bon? It's passive aggressive word.
Now,
but you do.
I would say, I'm sorry. Let me answer LD real quick. I would say that's a sacrifice because, even though you watch them old war movies and one soldier jump on the grenade to save the rest of the platoon, that is a sacrifice. Because he lost, his life is gone. He don't get to reap the rewards of his actions, you know. But people do live on, so that is a sacrifice, and they lose him.
But there's a benefit, right? Don't they say like
not
military
necessarily
sacrifice for our benefit?
You know it'd be messed up if that one dude jumped on a grenade and then people walk out the room and get mowed down.
Are we talking about like putting time and energy into somebody and they break up with you, kind of thing?
Well, see, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to brainwash people, right? This is it's full of positive, it's in a positive way. Because words create perception, perception create thought, thought create action, right? So if I can get people to stop using words out of context, because when you use sacrifice, even if it's a gain after, it's always it's a internal battle you have to go. But if you look at something that is strictly an investment, you don't reap. Like, okay, I'm not gonna reap the rewards right now. I'm gonna get it later. So you don't
No,
really look at a loss. You just looking for the long term gain. So
no.
when even investing in ourselves, like stop watching TV. Like if I take away the TV for an hour and instead of watching TV, I read a book. That's an investment into self.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
did I drop somebody? Oh, hold on. My bad. I did not mean to push that.
It's okay.
yeah, but they're not using the word out of context. You want to use a different word. Just use investment rather than sacrifice. It's you that's taking the word out of context because you're changing the meaning of the word. Just change the word. Don't. They're not taking it out of context. Use investment instead of sacrifice.
Do you think it's important to understand why we make those kind of decisions, and not just like on a generalistic level, but why like you might specifically find reading a book to be like difficult? Because like for me, I smoke a lot of weed right now. I'm also like in a really tough point in my life, and I don't think I'd be able to handle the intense array of emotions that it causes without it. So I've actually had to kind of learn to accept where I'm at, and that like I'm still technically growing, but it's just not where I wish I could be.
Let me ask you this: what do you think prevents you from being where you want to be?
Oh, cost. Yeah. I don't have any money to do anything with. I get enough money to smoke weed and eat food, and that is a comfortable existence.
And you said like the different array of emotions you're going through. Where do you think those come from?
Oh, lots of things. There's like a lot of uphill battles with transitioning. I have my own mental health stuff. The building I live in is just a constant like sensory overload of crap going on all the time. Uh, my relationship and work life is not as stable as it could be. And so just in general, to be able to keep like a consistent kind of response to things, I find weed is the thing that works best for me. Most psychotropics and stuff like that, or mood stabilizers, really just put me out of myself, and I'm not myself anymore. That's a huge issue.
So, um, and I don't mean to probe. Tell me if I'm, you know, just tell me if like, okay, that's too far, or, so like you said, the sensory overload in your environment. Um, do you feel like a lot of, do you have, uh, like past trauma you still dealing with? Do you think that can be triggering what's going on in your present?
Oh, 100%. And it's even 150 because I have schizotypal, which is um, I got from my mom who's schizoaffective, and her whole thing is that the noises and stuff in her building, when she's not imagining them, are still really invasive for her. So they're at least somewhat invasive for me. Not sure I fully understand the connection. I might even be schizoaffective myself, but just have yet to get that part diagnosed. But when it comes to like the way the place is, it's kind of, it can be very hostile at times, or lots of people yelling, police interactions, stuff like that. Very much retrigger stuff from like the group homes and stuff like that, where like a lot of times kids would bang on the wall to antagonize you. Well, especially when I first moved in here, that was really bad for some reason. I don't know if I've gotten used to it or if it's just gotten better somehow.
So, do you feel like the marijuana helps you think through the emotions?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? So to act on any sort of thought or impulse is just harder on weed, especially since I smoke it every day. And since I can kind of just sit there and be like, okay, I don't like that, and stuff like that. Well, in a lot of cases, I might, overreact. I might get really upset or something like that, bang back or something like that, because that's what I learned to do in the group homes. And after not doing that for a couple of years and just smoking weed the whole time, I certainly don't have that impulse anymore.
I found in my earlier days, I was able to smoke and think through the emotion. I use a lot of meditation and Muay Thai, like hitting shit, helped me a lot, like martial arts and stuff. I was just interested because I could definitely relate to that. I used to be very capricious when I was emotional. I'd be very impulsive. I react versus respond. And I noticed the marijuana kind of helped me think through the emotion.
Is it because it slows the brain down? Slows you down?
Yeah.
By the way, it doesn't slow the entire brain down. That depends on what kind of weed you get. It kind of makes the motor cortex less reactive. So
Yeah.
parts of your brain, right? So you're having all these thoughts. Some of them might be like, I want to go for a run. But then your motor cortex says to that part of your brain, not a good time to run, by the way, just feeling kind of slow. So like, let's not go for a run. And then so you're like, well, I'll go for a run later.
Yeah.
And you know what helped me? When I heard you say something earlier. You said you kind of accept where you at. And that's like one of the hardest things to do is to accept where you at. But once you do that, you're able to realize, well, I was able to speak for myself. I was able to realize the position I'm in today is predicated on the things I did yesterday or the things I did in my past. That's what put me where I'm at today. So I realized I had the power to make decisions to put me in a better situation tomorrow. And once I understood that power I had, I began to act on it. Now, baby steps with everything, but you have the potential to write your story. You just have to know and believe you can.
Yeah. Well, by the way, one of the reasons, excuse me, my God, that's the problem with weed smoking all the time. With weeds, with one of the things that kind of caught my ear, I guess, with what you said, was that I have a tendency towards fantastical thinking. Not always a bad thing. I can be quite creative, but at the same time, like I can very quickly start believing a narrative that I have control over something which I really don't. And I have to wonder how effective it is to have kind of like what you're talking about with like words affect perception, perception affects outcome. Not totally untrue, but there's a lot of caveats to it, which is why The Secret, which is the book that was written that kind of popularized this idea, is only so useful. It's mostly useful to like white suburbanites who don't really have any real problems and can buy their way out of most things. I'm just saying there's a certain demographic that it targeted for a reason, and there's a bunch of demographics it doesn't speak for, because like if you have true like economic, and I'm going to say oppression here just to kind of like lay out that like you can't necessarily get higher if you want to, then you can't necessarily tell yourself that that's not the case. That would be unrealistic. And that kind of delusional thinking can really, make you, well, for one thing, it can be very frustrating when you don't understand, like, I'm doing a certain thing and I'm not getting the results I wanted. Why is this not working out? You can start to blame yourself, and that can be a very destructive cycle.
And you know what the biggest issue with The Secret is? That's only one of 12 universal laws. They all work with one another. So the law of attraction. That's like the seventh law. You got law of correspondence, law of rhythm. Without applying those two, then the law of attraction don't even work.
Law of attraction.
Yeah, it's a law. Damn, what is it? It's the law of action. I'm gonna simplify it. It's like you actually have to do stuff. So like I have friends
Yeah.
stuck into the if I think it or if I say it and believe it, if I say it enough, if I do my affirmation, it'll come true. No, you that is to well that whole law of attraction is to draw you towards how to get if you like perception, right? So what the law of attraction is, you're basically um convincing your subconscious that this you can acquire this. So what'll happen is you'll start putting yourself in position to acquire it. That's how ideally it works. But you have to use these other laws, law of action. Okay, yeah, I want to be rich, but what do I have to do to be rich? Okay, I'm smart in this, I'm smart in that, I have to do this, I have to do that. But you still have to take action. Law of rhythm, guess what? I'm gonna have some good days and some bad days. So when I have the good days, I enjoy it. When I have the bad days, I just ride them out because I know the good days coming. This rhythm, I'm gonna go up and down. If you know you gonna have bad days, when they happen, it ain't gonna break you.
Amen.
When you have good days, when you have them, you ain't gonna get too overexcited. You know, you ain't gonna go too crazy. You ain't gonna have too much fun where you put yourself in a bad position because guess what? You got to go back down. You know all these things.
Okay,
So
Pastor D.
like you said, when you get to that point where I'm saying or doing and I'm not seeing the result, okay, this is my down season. Okay, I just keep putting in the work. I weather the storm because when I go up, I'm gonna go up. That's law of
That's
rhythm.
almost the equivalent. That's almost the equivalent of faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
So,
Can you say that they aren't laws unless they apply all the time? If the law
yeah.
of attraction doesn't work.
So with the law of action thing, I'll give you one thing, by the way. Oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, you carry on. Yeah, you go.
I'll give you one thing to that. You know, energy and matter cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed to one form or another. That requires work. It is true that you're never going to manifest anything without taking some action. Very few things come to you and are like a free form of energy for you to consume without you putting work into it first. However, I wouldn't say I think it's universal. And one great example would be like either in feudal times, if you really want to get into that, or during the Great Depression, because I think a lot of these laws, you know, become idealisms when you can't actually act because there's literally like no way you can get work, there's no way you can get money. So the idea of having like economic mobility, for example, is just out of the question. Now that's maybe there's a law in these 12 laws. I'm not familiar with which set you're referring to. I know Jordan Peterson has 12, but you know, I don't necessarily know. Maybe there's something that says like if something's totally unrealistic, then don't even go for it. But at the end of the day, I think we're talking about probabilities and particularly how those probabilities work in your favor with the more privilege you have, which is again why these sort of narratives suit a more middle class demographic than a lower class demographic.
And I understand, even like from the argument or standpoint of the Great Depression, like how did people survive like the Great Depression?
Oh, many didn't.
Many
But I'm
didn't,
talking
and
about
many took their own lives. But the ones
but I'm
that
talking
did,
about
you're saying,
the
the ones that
dead.
did
How did
survive.
they survive?
You know, they said that like the people that survived, they got with like they had family and community, and they helped each other out, and they didn't, maybe the kids didn't have toys, but they made toys, or I don't know.
They found ways. That's like it is. I understand what you're saying. Like when you talk about monetary, like you can't work yourself out the situation. But like I said, law of rhythm. This is your down season. How long did the Great Depression last?
Nearly a decade, I think.
10 years, and then the next 10 years, those
Don't
people.
quote me on that. I'm bad with history, by the way.
No, I'm just saying. Like
I
even
think,
if it was
yeah.
10 years, even if it was 10 years, law of rhythm. That's their down season, but they weathered that storm. The people who survive. I'm not the people who didn't. That's life, unfortunately.
They
Well,
You
had to
know
have some optimism that they were going to eat the next day, at least one
that
meal a day.
that's like in slavery. right? A lot of generations got wiped out in slavery. A lot of generations, but shit, I'm here. So my family made it. It's like growing up. Before I graduated high school, I had 17 friends that got unalive in the street. But I'm here.
So are you saying you can use these rhythms predictively? Like I know that because I'm in a low state right now, I'm going to come back and I can't get lower. Because couldn't that be deceptive if like you can in fact get lower, and that prevents you from thinking and taking steps to prevent those ways that you could get lower?
No, I believe like I say it like this. Throughout I'm 40, right? Throughout my life, my downs have been lower than before. I done been shot, I done been stabbed. Now I lost my eyesight. I had grade 2 lacerations in my lungs. I'm coughing up blood. My mama, a nurse, when they told her what happened, she crying, calling my family, telling them to come. She think I'm about to be out of here. I done been resuscitated twice. When you say lower, for me. When I got shot, I got hit in the butt. Right, that wasn't bad, but it prepared me for when I got stabbed. I got stabbed in the chest. I almost lost my life. That prepared me to lose my eyesight. Well, that prepared me for the grade 2 lacerations in my lung. And then that prepared me for me losing my eyesight. So it's really perception. I've been, when I was a child, I was, sexually assaulted by females. It wasn't no male or nothing like that, but it was female. I didn't even know it was bad. I thought I was a pimp. You know what I'm saying? Until I got older and realized, like, oh no, that's not supposed to happen to kids. That's not a good thing. That wasn't a good thing. I didn't understand that or comprehend it, but it kind of messed me up through my teenage and early 20 years with the way I interacted with women. I didn't look at sex like I didn't look at it like I look at it now. So I took women for granted sexually.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So I've been through a lot, right? And I got to go through a lot more. It's just as I get older, my downs just go. The higher I achieve peace, the more pain. The more pain I'm gonna get. That's just reality, right? So
Sure.
I made peace with. I made peace with that. So like when you say low, I just understand that the higher I get, the higher I go up. When I go down, the lower I'm gonna go down, and then the higher I got to come back up. It's just law of rhythm. The higher the peak is up, the lower the peak is down.
This is sounding further and further away from my personal understanding of rhythm, but okay, I'll still try to work with it. What about somebody who just has like a constant negative, right? Like what about neuropathic pain? Like lots of people suffer from neuropathic pain. The hardest thing about it is that we almost can't find like a source for it. So it's really difficult to treat. And painkillers and stuff just generally aren't a good idea. Plus they, it seems like the pain just gets worse in response to those. So we don't have a way to treat that. These people live in constant agony. Some find some treatment, of course. I'm not saying it's always like a terminal sentence, but for a lot of people, it just persists. And so
I feel like it's never going to go away is what you're saying.
So
it's like
what's
a chronic
their
condition?
Yeah. So I think you're trying to tell people like that to look at a bright side when in reality, they could be the same person that they are with just a little bit of that pain and not have to go through a whole lifetime of it.
Well, Buddha said life is suffering in general, right? Life is suffering.
That's his statement. May I ask you, ought life be suffering? Should life be suffering?
Well, that's just what exists.
I'm not saying it doesn't. In fact, I agree. Life is suffering, but should it be suffering?
Like I don't like. I'll be honest with you. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's just not reality. Reality is what exists, and life
I
is
mean,
suffering.
can I just
Like
say
even
though, like a lot of the idealisms you point to make an ought statement that one ought not to suffer, that it's all perception.
Hey, the word.
It
Thanks for having
is.
me up, brother. I appreciate it.
What up though? Let me let me just show you something right here. That's a X-ray of my skull. Right, you see that little tube going in my brain?
Yeah, bro.
That's a VP shunt. I have chronic migraines. I have chronic pressure behind my eye. It's called a pseudotumor. I had to get surgeries on my eye because the pressure built up so much. It was pushing out my eyeball. That's why I'm legally blind now, so I can't see out. It completely stretched the optic nerve in my left eye, and my right eye, it goes in and out. But the shunt, anytime it rains, any bariatric pressure in the clouds, I get migraines to the point where I'm on my knees. I suffer every day. Like, so I understand what you're saying about pain. Like this is just me personally.
That's why I came up. That's why I came up. I was sorry, brother. I was going to bounce off what a point that Melanie was making about chronic pain and the effect it has on people. And I've been there myself, and that's why I came up, because there's a point where chronic pain can drive you to a point where it kind of tears at the fabric of your being. Like you start to wonder about reality. Like it's that bad. Like you can, and then I would love to have the narrative that I overcame my chronic pain in some kind of like hero's journey, and I learned something, and it was, this epic moment that changed my life, and it was all worth it. But it's hard to say that, because that's not how it went. I just wonder if you can relate to that.
And I can, like, I'm in. My wife cries because she see me, and I literally got pain is weakness, death is inevitable tatted on me, and I always had to be the strongest of my family, and it's not easy. It's days where it's like I don't get out the bed, bro. As Gary check on me every day. It's some, like, I wasn't on this whole weekend, bro. I couldn't even move. I couldn't, like, all yesterday I was just in the bed because it was snowing and raining here. I couldn't even move, bro.
Yeah,
And
bro.
my kids, I have things that make the pain. I have things bigger than me that make the pain tolerable. I can say it like that.
Yeah, I've been there.
When I got stabbed in my chest, bro, I got scar tissue pushing over my lungs. Sometimes it's hard for me to breathe. I got the tube in my stomach. I got to go get surgery on. They got to replace the tube because the tube is draining outside the. So I keep getting this real bad acid reflux, and I got a hiatal hernia already. So I got a lot of shit going on. You know what I'm saying? So I can look at the opportunity that I'm given every day I wake up and do something with it, or I can just tap out or submit and give up.
Oh, it's real funny, man, because
my life has never been easy. I had to fight every second that I've been on this earth, and that's all I do.
While you're explaining all that, it's so funny. I have this like natural reaction where I want to feel sorry for you, and then something else kicks in, and I go, "Dude, no, don't feel sorry for him. He's a fucking G. He's like he's."
I don't need no one's empathy.
Yeah,
bro. I don't think, like, you can, like, even my wife, bro. I don't complain about shit. It's not gonna benefit me. Complaining is not gonna make my situation better. Only thing that's gonna make my situation better is me finding ways to improve my current situation.
Yeah.
And even when I focus on the pain, that's when it hurts the most, bro. That's when it hurts the most, is when I'm focusing on. But when I'm focusing on other things, I feel it still. I ain't gonna lie to you. I still feel it. But moving towards something greater than me. It's something greater than the pain.
Yeah, bro. I'm a fair bit older than you. I think you said you're 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fair bit older, and you know, I've been through my shit, and I think that the lesson that I learned was from that. Oh God, it was such a long time of just chronic pain for fucking years, bro. But when you're in it, there can be a tendency to think this is life now, like this is how it's going to be forever. But things change. Things change. It's quite astounding. I mean, there's still you're left with remnants and you're left with artifacts and scars and stuff like that. But it can be surprising how things change. And sometimes all it takes is, I remember I had a period where the pain was so bad and so persistent. This is not a word of a lie. I hadn't slept for about 2 months. I was literally walking the streets at night at 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to close my eyes and have micro sleeps while I was walking to almost wore the soles off my feet. And then one day I was so exhausted because the nature of my pain was I couldn't sit down. I couldn't lie down. The only thing that gave me any kind of distraction was just pacing. It didn't resolve it, but it just helped a little bit. And this one day I was so exhausted, and I said, "Fuck the pain. I've got to sit down." And I think for about 30 seconds I had a little micro sleep, and I woke up and I went, "Whoa! I just slept." And I thought, if I can sleep for 30 seconds, maybe I can sleep for a minute. And if I can sleep for a minute, maybe, But the main thing was, a bit like yourself, man, I just never gave up. I said, fuck it, I think, life's worth living. So you hang in there. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm just sharing some personal stuff, bro.
Oh no, you making sense, and but I understand what Fox said too. Because it's hard to, like even you just said, it's hard to be optimistic at times. But and I see how she say like it can be misleading, the different ideology. I totally understand it, and like when you're going through it. You're going through it, it's hard to be in the moment, but for me, I can only speak for myself, and I hope, uh, with me doing that, it can give people hope or insight, that they can, and I'm not saying, I mean, there's other people suffering way worse than me. I never said, because I know people, and that's what made me like working in, man, it was. She was a quadriplegic, bro. She couldn't feed herself. She couldn't do nothing. She was contorted, constricted, in the ball. But every day she seen me, bro, she smiled. Man, she smiled, bro. Every day she see me. And it's like, how can I not smile? This lady can't do nothing for herself.
Facts.
And then
that was a turning point. That was a turning point for me. I was like you're bringing it back now. I remember I was it's so funny how like you can be in the worst pain. Nobody else knows. Like no one can understand what you're going through. And I was in a mall. You guys call it a mall. We'd call it a shopping centre with my wife at the time. And you're kind of walking around like everything's normal, but in myself, it was far from normal. I was in a bad way. And I saw a guy in a wheelchair, and he had one of those levers for his chin. So he uses his chin to drive the little lever on the wheelchair. And he was wearing a good shirt and some good pants and polished shoes, and he had his hair combed real nice. And I thought, damn, like I think I've got it bad. I'm falling apart. And this guy, in the situation he's in, obviously somebody's dressing him, but he just had that presentation that, we're still doing our best. We're still doing our best.
Excuse me. Are we kind of conflating like dignity and pain here? Because like with the quadriplegic person, surely they've been through pain, But quadriplegic doesn't mean you're in pain. It just means you have to adapt and you don't have as much mobility as other people. Whereas like my thing was about pain because I think like if you did have to settle with the reality that there's no treatment for your pain and it could very much well be the rest of your life, like that's just going to cause existential dread. And I think that's normal to cause that because life ought not to be completely suffering. We look forward to a life that is mostly free of suffering with bits of suffering in between for sure. And just to give a more abstract example, I don't know how relatable this is, but it's super relatable for me because I've seen my mom, and just to explain the sort of schizoid disorder spectrum and then schizophrenia. The schizoid disorder spectrum is kind of like schizophrenia and has a lot of similar symptoms, but it's usually they're not like hearing like completely different people in their heads and talking to them. That's that sort of thing, right? They're like schizoaffective. Like I said, my mom's very sensitive to like noises she hears from the other apartments in her walls and might sometimes also hallucinate noises, but they're not necessarily voices in her heads. Just like my schizotypal, it's even kind of harder to explain, but less severe. Whereas schizophrenia is full blown. It is all of these symptoms in like their strongest psychotic kind of manifestation. And it's not to say these people can never be lucid, but if you're schizophrenic, you basically have no psychic control over your cognition anymore. You can't reality test. And when I say you can't, it's like incredibly limited.
Oh, I get you. So Melanie, that's like I thought about this because I've recently come to the. Well, I'm coming.
Could I just say one thing first, though?
Sure,
Karen?
Melanie. Go on. Yeah, go on.
I have no reason not to believe that I could just be schizophrenic and have yet to have my psychotic break. And that fear of like losing my psychic autonomy, honestly, like there will be no benefit from that. That'll just be game over for me.
Yeah, it's like when you have parents that have dementia and you wonder if you're going to. It's like I said, I'm moving towards the conclusion. Like I'm moving back towards my Christian faith, right? And I thought someone who's schizophrenic, like you said, full blown, wouldn't even have the cognitive awareness to be able to pray. And I thought, wow, that's brutal. Like you're
actually wrong. They can be like some of the most religious, fanatical people you've ever met because they think they hear God.
Right.
Yeah, but do they? Right.
I've met schizophrenics who are like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but do they hear God or think they hear God? Right. That's a distinction.
Yeah.
But now,
has anyone ever really heard God, or were they just schizophrenic?
I knew we were going to move into that. I knew.
I'm about to hit the panel again. Wow, her about to hit the panel.
So interestingly,
hey, Stoics in chat.
Before I sound like a cynic, there's actually a positive way to think about this, and is that the role of the shaman and kind of like being a spiritual leader for people in early civilizations was, and that leading to like priesthood and early priesthood and stuff like that. That was really important, and this human behavioral biologist, Dr. Robert Sapolsky, posits that it might be people with schizotypal based on their symptoms and the fact that they were a lesser form of schizophrenics who provided this. Interestingly enough,
didn't quite catch the conclusion there, Melanie. What were you connecting there?
Well, there's a link. There is a link between that whole spectrum of disorders and kind of like
connection with the divine.
The earliest roots of religion.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, I've also seen I can't recall his name, a scientist who could induce spiritual experiences in people using, electrodes in people's brains.
Oh, I mean, like you can just use psychedelics. That's what they do.
Well, there's that too. It doesn't necessarily. Those two things can be true at the same time. People could have genuine spiritual experiences, and people could experience something that felt spiritual through some sort of external force, right? They could both be true. So the jury's still out.
I don't want to like glaze myself up too much on the schizotypal thing, but I will say this much: when I'm high on psychedelics, I feel more in control. Like, I feel like all the waters around me have like calmed, and now they're like flowing how I want them to. It's pretty wild. And if that's what like shamans felt like back in the day, I can see why they would be like using that as like a form of like spiritual, I don't know, like a gateway of sorts.
No, I get you. That's why I
You,
don't
you
do
know what
that.
it,
Sorry,
you
man.
know what it kind of does, because my auntie, um, our tribe is small, so she took over. She understood all the teachings, so usually they didn't let females be shamans, but she the shaman of our tribe now, and
That's that's incredible, by the way, that you still have that in your culture, and I think that's awesome.
yeah, they up in Canada. They up in
Cool.
Canada. They got pushed out of the U.S. and we up
Oh,
in Canada.
are they indigenous or is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
wow.
Um, but they diagnosed her with schizophrenia, but we understood what it was. It was more. Uh, she's just more connected to the divine than we are, and through different like spiritual walks. That's when I got my clarity. I think I was 21 when I understood, because it's like you said, you able to function highly because a lot of times you able to shut off the outside world, all those, and you able to go inward. Um, that's just my understanding of it. And when you go inward, when all the noise, this is why people become addicted and get high to drugs, because it takes them out of this reality and puts them somewhere where they feel they have control, and that's the mind. That's our
Not
mind.
really. It is like a neurological mechanism usually that leads to addiction. You would be talking about like a psychological dependency when they're doing that.
Most addicts have psychological dependency.
That's fair.
I was just from sitting in groups and
Yeah,
and
just so
listening
you know,
to.
addiction itself is usually physiological, not
Yeah,
psychological.
is the I would say more of the cause. A lot of times people, even when they first get addicted, right, they lose everything, and then to escape that reality, they go back into the drug induced reality where they have a bit more control. Um,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
I understand what you talk about, like the physical aspect of it, because it's duality: it's the physical and the psychological
Oh, I'm not a
at the same
dualist, but
time.
yeah.
Yeah, but you have to you have to deal with the my hardest part in my transition was being able not my transition. I was addicted to pain, and I was addicted to like hurting people. I didn't have a drug addiction, but I found reasons to hurt people, and I tried to justify it. I had a desire to hurt people because I was hurting inside, and I found reasons to hurt people. Like, I find a bully. Okay, that's justifiable. They bullying somebody. So if I hurt them, I'm actually helping somebody. That's how I used to rationalize it, right? Well, they're hurting somebody. So if I hurt them, I'm preventing them from hurting somebody. And that justifies me for hurting somebody. But that still ain't right. You
Plus,
know.
it just makes the bully more people to take care of it.
Yeah, yeah. So and my addiction to pain, I didn't felt pain so much in my life. I've been abused when I was younger. When I didn't feel pain, I didn't even know if I was alive. I didn't know if this was like real, because I'm not feeling what I'm so accustomed to feeling. I was addicted to it. At first it was abuse, but I got abused so much. It was like I needed it to feel alive. And I didn't understand that. So I got into, I did martial arts, but I go mess with the biggest, baddest motherfucker and piss him off in the dojo just so I can get hit.
The word it's different, but a similar experience with the chronic pain where when it's gone, you kind of, it's not like you've lost something, but it's almost like it's better the devil you know. So
Mm-hmm.
you live with it so long that you learn to adapt to it, and you have a whole internal strategy for how to cope with life when you have pain on board. And then when it's gone, it's so funny. Like, it should be okay. Like you should be rejoicing, and you should be going, thank God it's over.
The
But you
word for
still
that,
kind of,
by
you
the
go
way,
on.
is habituation. Sorry to interrupt you. I meant to say it at a
No, it's
better
cool.
time. Everything lagged.
Habituation. Yeah. I think you're right.
It's like the non-systemic form of institutionalization, where like you get so used to living in jail that when you come out, you're like, what the fuck do I do with myself?
Yeah, it even happens with say a woman has been really overweight her entire life, from being a little kid, and then at some point she gets on a fitness, in her 30s or 20s, gets on a fitness regime and actually achieves that thing everyone thinks is great, where she loses the weight and she becomes, really fit. But then she discovers that people look at her differently, people act around her differently, people sort of, she hasn't got the nuanced way of interacting with the world that she used to, because she built it up around being a certain person who was perceived a certain way. And now, although in theory she's improved something, it feels uncomfortable.
Do men not have the same thing?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Well, let me think about that. Yeah, I suppose
Yes,
so.
the
Yeah.
answer is yes.
Yeah, I suppose so. I'm just thinking back about my own experience. I had a period of life where I was very much into fitness and gymnastics and kickboxing and all kinds of things, and I weightlifting, and I become very buff and tidy. And I'd have women at nightclubs just walk up to me and rub my pecs, and I had a shaved head. They just rubbed my bald head, and I wasn't real big on social cues, and so I was kind of wondering what the hell's going on here. Right?
Some men will
And then,
take advantage of it, and then some men will be resentful towards women. Like, oh,
well,
why do you like me now?
I was married at the time, so that wasn't an issue. It was my wife who'd come up and say, "Hey, dude, that chick's she's
She's
hitting on
hitting
you."
on you?
And I said, "What? When? What?" Seriously, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, men and women both. Yeah, men and women both. The same thing. Anorexia is a lot more common in men than people realise. It's more common in women, but men get it too.
Stoic is dropping sauce in the chat. Stoic, do you want to come up? Do you want to trade with me? The link is.
Oh no, I'll go. I'll go.
No, don't nobody have to go. I got room for 10. What is y'all talking about?
Oh, you got room for 10. You paying for the premium brand, bro?
Yeah. Well, they took it out so yeah. I keep meaning to stop the thing, but I thought I connected it to my debit card that I just changed, but it's connected to my account. So since
The thing is stinging still.
The thing is thinking. Let me see
That's
how
what's
much.
up.
Let's see. I got. I need to check on that so I can. Because I want to go to whatchamacallit anyway.
Oh man, Stoic's talking mad shit in chat.
That's Melbourne, man. Is Stoic the Sydney sider? I was speaking to someone now. Yeah. So don't bring Stoic up. He'll ruin the panel by being from Sydney.
Y'all be game banging in Australia too?
I wouldn't know. It's not my scene. I'm pretty
11
sure
more days. I got 11 more days.
11 more days of what?
StreamYard.
Oh,
I'm probably gonna forget to disconnect, because if I disconnect it now, I already paid for it. So, Australian house party going on. What up, Stoic?
Hey, what up, y'all?
Hey,
Hey, Stoic.
How are you guys?
Doing all right.
Good. You got some sauce for us, huh?
Sauce? Yeah. What sauce?
You can relate.
We call it information sauce. Yeah, we call it information sauce over here.
Oh yeah, of course. We're all sharing the sauce. Hey, we love the sauce.
The hot sauce.
Oh,
Well, he
y'all
said
want to see?
weed is a blessing to him, so I'm assuming you have. Do you also
Hold
have
on.
chronic pain?
Let me play this for y'all real quick because I don't think y'all know what content pimping is. I ain't played this in a minute. What it is, good people? It's Pastor Petty, aka Passive Petty, but most might know me as the Word. But today, call me the Verb, because see, we about that action, and all that yapping, all that capping is just another form of slacking. Dig this. I'm here on behalf of the Petty fam to announce we content pimping. Yeah. We pimping the content. So we got some of the best and the brightest minds around. So what we gonna do? We gonna take this content, we gonna take these topics, then we gonna bust them down, and we gonna bust them up. We gonna flip them up, and we gonna rub them down. And we gonna treat it like a doorknob. See, everybody gonna get a turn to spit that sauce all over it. And we got all types of sauce, you dig? From that motivational sauce to that informational sauce. We got that lava sauce, and of course, we got that petty sauce. So it's gonna be sauce everywhere. That content, them topics, ain't gonna never be the same. It ain't no lame in the game, go touch it. So yeah, we pimping content. So if you need some sauce, or you got some sauce of your own, come get with this content pimp.
I don't know if I want that sauce anymore. Rub it down.
Did everyone
Shout
fall
out to,
into that?
you said what? Everybody get a turn. It's like a doorknob.
Everybody got to turn the doorknob.
Everybody get a turn. Man, that's when we just having fun. Man. We just having fun.
Hey, that made me laugh. Yeah, that made me laugh.
Yeah, Gary sent a message. He's dropped off. He's going to bed.
Gary,
The sound was kind of low on that sauce.
It
I
was actually.
know.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit low. Yeah, the audio levels were a bit. What's the word? A bit whack. It was a bit whack.
Yeah, that's my bad. I gotta fix the content pimping.
Yeah, you got to turn the volume up, not down, if you're going to pimp, bro.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Technical
He was trying to keep
difficulties.
the sauce on the down low. That's
Yeah,
all.
I was trying to keep the sauce, baby.
Hey, the word I really do have to go. I'm Stoics. I'm sorry to bail out when you've just come up. It would have been fun to have a little bit of back and forth, but I've got to
You're
take.
good. You're good.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, the word, and just want to do a little shout out to Melanie. We've had a little bit of back and forth a few times here and there, and it's been nice to have a nice
Oh my god!
a nice chat with you.
This mushy shit. Yeah, I get it. We it was nice. Yeah.
Let's do it again sometime. All right. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Cheers.
Take it easy.
Have a good one, bro.
Yeah,
Appreciate
take
it.
care.
Yeah, but yeah, this has been enlightening because just hearing other people's experiences gives you more context to different ideas that you may have. But the only way you can really get that is if you have a conversation and hear people out. Um, you never know what another person is going through. So I appreciate Melanie, you sharing that information, and I hope you ain't feel no type of way. Like I'm not one of the people who discount people' personal experience because I'm not living it. You know what I'm saying? You go experience things that I've never experienced, so I can only truly learn and understand from someone who's going through it. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Thanks. Yeah, and I'm one of the people that believes like our experiences are subjective. I can't tell you what you are experiencing is like right or wrong. I think that there are broader, more objective things that we can talk about that happen regardless of our experiences. But then that's where I personally start to say, well, then I can't use your experiences to tell me about this objective thing in reality. But that doesn't mean that your experiences aren't reality. It just means that like it can only tell me about you.
Right.
Yeah, and
Can I
like
say,
Rachel says, people take what's for them and what's not, you know? If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, then go
Yeah.
ahead, Stoic.
yeah, what can you take with you after death? Once you die, what will you take with you?
Mm.
I'm a materialist. I really don't think that there's anything.
Can you take
That-
wisdom with you? Can you take wisdom with you?
Nope. That requires a brain.
I don't think so.
You can't take wisdom with you. You can't take
I don't think
knowledge
so.
that you can't take knowledge with you that you've gained through your life with you to the afterlife.
I don't think it'll be necessary in the afterlife. Because I feel like when you reach the afterlife, like all the
Everything
questions
is
will be
known.
answered and
Yeah.
all will be fulfilled. And all that you thought you knew is like so minute.
I heard a story. This lady passed away, but she came back. And when she came back, uh, she divorced her husband because when she passed away, she knew that he cheated on her with his sister, and it was a guy I worked with. His wife divorced, and he said when she died and came back, she knew that he cheated on her with his sister, and the only way she could have knew that because the sister didn't tell, and he didn't tell, and she said she knew it because when she died, she seen everything. I don't
So we kind of
People,
get the
understand, but that's
yeah,
his story. So,
right. We kind of have a reunion show afterlife, so to speak.
I think I'm not gonna care who people are. I
yeah.
don't know. You think like
It-
they say like you'll recognize your family members and stuff like that?
like the only like my own personal experience. Like I said, when I passed away, I just felt love, man. I didn't. It wasn't like nothing visual. I can't explain. It was. I just felt whole, and I felt like I guess you could say the love I felt from like people who was deceased. I felt that. Um,
Yeah.
like I felt like they presence. I didn't see nobody, but I felt like everyone that was gone was here. It felt like that. It was only feelings. It wasn't nothing visual or nothing. I didn't smell anything. I didn't. It was just like this peace, and it was just like I was complete. And then when I came back, all that shit was gone, and it's like I felt all this goddamn pain and shit. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
All our
that actually, go ahead.
uh, yeah, all our struggles and all our suffering, it's got to matter, right? You know, there's so many experiences we all go through, all the struggles and whatnot. It's got to amount to something.
Yeah, it does. It amounts to what you get to do tomorrow. Um, what you said about like the feeling of your loved ones, first of all, reminds me of alternate states of consciousness and being on mushrooms. But more importantly, reminds me of that story you said before about the woman who knew that her husband was cheating on her sister or with her sister. Um, that kind of reminded me of one time. I don't know what it was. I had like a really good sleep, but then I woke up and I already knew before that that my boyfriend would be hanging out with this chick who they definitely had feelings for each other. But then like it was like everything clicked. It was like that moment I just didn't have it in me to be in denial anymore. And
mm,
I got so fucking mad. And so like I called him out and everything. And he was like, "How'd you know?" And I actually lied and said my best friend told me because she's friends with her as well. But that wasn't true. So it was like I didn't even really know in that moment how I knew, and it might make sense that like someone might default to something that felt real. Like when you're in a coma, you tend to have like incredibly lucid dreams, right, where you feel like you're, you know, living still almost.
Yeah, you read the signs. That's what you felt.
And so, like, I'm just wondering if like they came out of it, maybe they had some of that where like they were reading the signs in the dream, and then they came out and they weren't in denial for that moment for a bit, and then like it all just made sense to them because of that. Because part of it is always denial. Like you're always like you want to trust your partner, right? So
Yeah, you had questions, and any questions, there's always an answer, to be honest.
it's sometimes easier to believe that you're wrong, though. That your answers are the ones that are misguided, because then everything can continue as normal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
but
avoid pain.
you were very sure of yourself, though. Hey,
Sometimes too sure of myself. But yeah, no, I feel like
Wish we had clarity.
I feel like the thing to live for on this planet, if not yourself, is like leaving it better for future generations than we found it, kind of thing. Something we're not good at doing right now. And, like instead of thinking about like, your life as a means to an end, think of it as an end in and of itself. And like, if anything, what can you leave for other people? Like, how can you leave a legacy? I think legacies are very legit.
Yeah, I
yeah,
rock out with that. And I even, my grandmother told me when I was younger, anytime I enter a room, leave it better than what I found. And I apply that to life in general. I always try to leave things in a better condition than when I found it. People, places, like you said, legacy. That's why it's important for me to be an example too, because where I come from, I was given good examples. I just didn't follow them until I matured mentally. But now I see the benefit and I see the investments, not the sacrifices, but the investment, my elders, because like talking to my uncle and my dad now, one of the hardest things, like when I was talking to my uncle about pride, and he said he had to swallow his pride a lot of times to set an example for us. It was times that he wanted to do this or do that, but he had to he had to think is bigger than him. And I think a lot of times people don't have that thing that's bigger than them uh,
right, right.
to keep them, kind of grounded and
How do you
you know,
find that
some,
though? Does it come with age or your environment? Like, how do you come of age?
um. So you talk about like far as maturity.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've got people my age that are still stuck in the past. They still acting like teenagers, and I look at them like, damn, you still got a lot of growing up to do. And it's kind of sad to say. So I'm trying to
And
do, I'm trying to be there basically.
So when you say like to a higher power, doesn't that kind of assume like there is like a righteous higher power? Like if your parents are alcoholics, the only church in town is Catholic. I'm assuming no one here is Catholic, and your entire like government, local to nationwide, is corrupt. Wouldn't it be smarter to be like critically minded, to be able to think like, no, I want to be better than that?
How do you do that?
Well, critical thinking for one thing, like to understand why that's wrong and why it ought not to continue.
You can think that, right? But how do you do that? Is the thing. Like, I can think all the ways to fix the world, but I can't.
yeah,
I don't think
I
I
would.
don't think I said anything about prescriptions of fixing the world. I think I said about being better than the lowest common denominator of whatever higher power there is.
I
Well,
would look at it like this: there's a road, right? And on that road, so
Oh, you
to
cut
get
out
to
for
where we
me.
want to go,
Was that just me, by the way?
No, he cut
No, that
out.
was probably me. I'm on my team. Oh, give me 1 second. Go ahead, y'all talk. I'll be in there. Check.
Yeah, to fix, I don't know, yourself maybe, but
Okay, well
legacy, right?
let's just say your parents are alcoholics, right? Like, why do you need me to explain how like growing up around that and thinking I don't want to be an alcoholic is virtuous?
It isn't virtuous, but did your alcoholic parents give you words of wisdom?
Maybe, maybe not. I think it works even with the not scenario because again, you could just decide for yourself like you don't want to be like them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like hold on, let me switch over to my. So
What?
using that
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Your parents are alcoholic. You see all the negative things alcohol caused them, and you now have the desire not to be like them. That works for some people. Some people they fall into the
That's
same cycle. They call it
yes.
generational curses, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Definitely.
that's right. That's right.
So it it's really predicated upon the individual's will.
Uh,
I believe
yeah.
it's the individual's will, and like I said, different people use different vehicles to get to the same place. Like it's like a road, right? So I
Mm,
may use a motorcycle, you may use a car, so it may use a truck. So what I mean by that, some people may use critical thinking, some people may use religion. Um,
mm,
so it is predicated upon a person's will and vehicle of choice. What works for them, what works for you might not work for me. What worked for me might not work for you. That's why I always come on here and say I share information. I don't want to tell people this go work for you because it might not. That's just the reality. You know.
can you be? Yeah. Can you be in the shithole but have all the wisdom?
Yes. Like the ability to again to think profoundly isn't like
Mm,
predicated on your ability to like
yeah.
afford luxurious goods or anything.
Mm, mm, yeah.
You ever heard people say like they knew they didn't belong there? Like they just knew that that wasn't for them. They didn't belong there, even though they grew up like that. And that was their
Mhm.
surrounding, but they knew that they were like
I
in a
didn't
place
choose.
that wasn't for them. Like they were born into the wrong family.
Yeah, I didn't
Shit,
choose my
me.
parents. 100%. I didn't choose my parents. But yeah.
Did they choose you? That's the question.
Far out. That's too deep now. I don't know. Wait.
Kidding.
I don't know.
And see, you'll talk to some people and they say, you chose your parents before you came. Um, that's metaphysics. People say, you chose. You know what I'm saying? They say that, but this is what I say. Um, the experience with your parents molded you to who you are. You know,
100%. 100%.
if you that's why like the stuff I've been through. When people be like, "What would you change?" I wouldn't change nothing because it made me who I am. Now, was it ideal? Hell no, it wasn't ideal. Me losing my eyesight, it's not ideal to be legally blind, to have these chronic migraines. That shit ain't
True.
ideal, but it's necessary for me to be who I am. So I accept it, make the best
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I didn't choose my parents, but the struggles and the whatnot, it's kind of making me stronger, and I can only see this now that I'm growing up. But I still got a lot to do. I still got a lot of action to do. I feel like I have a lot of wisdom, but I'm not following suit. If that makes sense.
And I would even um, I would chalk it up to knowledge because the wisdom comes once you begin to apply it. When you
Yeah.
begin to apply it and
Yeah. Like
like
sorry, my bad. You go on.
oh no, I was just about to say like even with me like there's no monetary gain in the wisdom I have. The wisdom I have comes with peace. It's nothing that is financially is not lining my pockets, but it is giving me a peace of mind, a peace of soul. I'm able to, I'm at peace with self, and I'm able to build on top of that. And it's actually affecting people around me. I'm helping other people around me understand what peace truly is.
Isn't that just inner peace? I would describe wisdom, by the way, as just like induction plus experience. So if you go through like university for chemistry and you memorize every single thing they teach you, but you do like you don't remember anything you did in the labs, you're gonna have like almost zero ability to like infer things that go outside of like the tables and stuff that they gave you. But if you actually go like if you learn a little bit about quantum mechanics, you learn a little bit about actual physics, et cetera, and you also like apply that, kind of what you said, but you actually have experience with that, then it becomes easier and easier to think like, oh, okay, so boiling water is like a phase change. You get energy from that. You can store energy that way. Maybe we can make a battery this way. And now you're into, not just chemistry, but like building a battery. And that like wisdom to me is just the philosophical side of that. Like you can know everything every philosopher has ever said, but until you start thinking some of your own original shit, it's not going to matter.
It's not.
True.
And
That's true.
that's why I say people rely so much on dead people information and versus what they can produce themselves. I'm not telling people to write a Bible or write the Bible, but when people talk about God, it's from a third person's point of view. Most people can't even tell you their own experience or relationship with God. It's always from a book. You know.
Well,
So
this is why,
basically,
like, for me, sorry, Stoic. I let you speak last time. I get to go this time. But no,
there you go. My bad.
there's
My
something between meditation and prayer, and that's reflection. That is sitting quietly in a state of inner peace, but also letting thoughts kind of like go through you as if you're meditating, but not trying to like quiet them, if you know what I mean. And that's where I find like I'd much rather do that than read a book or learn something directly any day. Like I learn things directly, so that way I can actually do stuff. But my actual ability to like comprehend the world around me comes from reflection more than anything.
And that's what this whole basically live was about, the self reflection. Like, what are you made of? You know? But no, I understand what you're saying because that's what people forget, even like when they read the story of Jesus. Not only did he pray, but he went and sat still and was quiet so he can hear. He could hear the response. That was him reflecting on what they call meditation. But even like it's different forms of meditation. And people always say, "Oh, quiet your mind."
Yeah. But how
That's
much?
one form.
Yeah. How
I'm
much
sorry. Go ahead.
negative? Yeah. How much negative thoughts come through you as opposed to positive thoughts?
Nowadays, not many. I don't.
Mhm.
My wife gets annoyed by that because I don't look at how. Like I don't look at what I don't have. I look at how I get what I want. So
Also,
even if I have a negative thought, is only there for me. It's like a problem there for me to solve.
Yeah.
also,
And
go ahead.
go ahead, Melanie. It's my bad.
I think it might be worth considering that a negative thought about something negative is, in my opinion, cognitively neutral. Like it's accurate, right? If you're thinking negatively about something neutral, well, then you're being negative.
No, it just comes to you, right? Like you don't want these negative thoughts to come your way,
Well,
but
that's intrusive. Intrusive thoughts are
okay.
uncommon.
Is that like possession or
No, no,
what?
no. Uh, it's probably worth reflecting on, like if there's something in your past that might be causing you to
Yeah.
have intrusive thoughts, maybe.
So
Yeah.
yeah, what? So you have to like describe a negative thought. I give you an example. Like I'm gonna use my wife, right? So my wife, she constantly think about, um, like we need a new roof. So she constantly think about, oh, we need a new roof. We don't have a new roof. The roof go cave in if we don't get a new roof. This go happen. That's go. All these negative thoughts about a roof. So when I think like, oh, we need a new roof, I start thinking of ways to get the new roof versus thinking about the roof go fall in and shit. You know. Um,
She tell
but
she
that's
tell you to
but
you're the positive.
yeah, she get annoyed by that because even like with all this stuff with Trump going on, she like, oh, Trump go do that. I'm like, look, man, I ain't worried about none of that stuff. If
That's
it
common
happened, it
stuff.
happened.
But
Yeah,
what
that's
if,
common.
okay, but what if she has a point, right? Like this is what I mean by like not every negative thought is not worth
Right.
considering, because if
Right.
Trump's going to make it harder for you to afford the roof, and I'm not saying he will or won't, I'm just saying hypothetically, if you will, for the sake of argument, then that's going to reinforce her fear, and therefore, like I think being aware of something to be afraid of is good. It's a positive thing. Now you're aware of it instead of being passive towards it.
Mm.
But the fear is not positive. That's the whole point. Like the fear, it's like only thing I fear is things I don't know. So I don't fear nothing because I figure it out. So I have no fear. I live with no fear. Because the only
I
thing
guess
I can possibly fear is things I don't know. So like even like you said, if Trump do something to make the roof, okay, well I just got to do something to make more money.
But that can be easier
I'm
said than done.
what making more money.
Yeah.
Well, it's always easier said than done, but it's doable. It's plausible.
Unless everyone
I
else is
mean,
doing it at the same time, then you're competing with those people and you might not be the successful one.
That's a
That's
negative
just reality.
thinking.
no,
No, that's
that's
just
not how.
reality. Not every single fish is going to make it to the end of the stream. Some of them have to get squeezed out so that way the other can fit.
But even in that aspect, like is fear doesn't benefit.
yeah.
I'm gonna be the fish that knows
Awareness,
I'm gonna make it.
but sorry, but awareness is really important because if you're underestimating the risk, then you're not taking enough steps to prevent it.
Oh no, the awareness is there. You know, the awareness provides me to prepare.
I mean, I
You
just
know,
pointed
but
out that like Trump's actions could, again, hypothetically cause other people to do the same thing you're doing. You'd be competing with them for the same money. And so it might not be as available as you're currently assessing it to be.
It's still under his control. But
yeah, because I was about to say even competing with me, how there's no competition. That's like
yeah,
even in my field. Okay, that's just one way. But if I'm prepared, how many revenue streams of income do you have? I have
Oh,
more than the common person.
just one.
You see what I'm saying? But I have more than the common person. So
yeah.
that's not a for me. Is more I'm more
You have
prepared.
zero
So
competition in at least one of them.
no,
Oh.
Yeah.
all of
Well,
A,
then
a, a,
again,
neg- a negative thought could be a detriment to oneself, right?
but
Leading into the path of addiction, maybe, right?
that's a little bit of an oversimplification.
but
I think if you become as essentially like so cynical that you think nothing is worth it because of that negative thought, like that very much spirals out of control. Then yes, you could start becoming prone to making decisions which leads you to addiction. Like, oh, it doesn't matter if I become addicted to this. I just want to feel good for a moment, right? Whereas, like, if you're not thinking nihilistically, then you're more likely to make decisions that consider your future self and like the consequences to yourself in the future.
and and see even the sense of competition that's there without that's always there.
Yeah,
So
but
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
it would be a limit on how much more money you could make rather than like your current equilibrium with your competitors.
Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
competing with anybody, to be honest. Really,
no,
I'm making.
no,
That's just not true. We're especially under capitalism, we're always put into points of competition, whether it's between our
competition.
workers, other people in the market, et cetera, home buyers. It's endless.
If you have responsibilities like that, of course. I don't have a family. I don't have a girl. I don't have all these
Do you have a car?
responsibilities. Say what?
Do you have a car?
Yeah, yeah. These
Well,
always
when
get
you
looked
bought your
after.
car, if you bought it new, they were looking at what other consumers would be likely to pay for that car, right? That that might not appear like a competition, but when you think about it, the companies are competing to have the highest value possible against your interest. That's a form of
However,
competition.
yeah, however, my car just gets me from A to B. These car
It
retailers,
doesn't matter.
fuck.
I just want to point out, even if it was used, then again, they would be looking against what the most people are willing to pay for that is. Uh, whereas they're trying to think like this is I paid X amount for this. I want them to pay way more. What's the overhead on this, right? So again, another form of competition.
But
Whoever the
you wouldn't.
highest bidder is who you're in competition with.
But if you wouldn't put yourself in that position, right? You just want a car to get you to A to B, right?
I'm just saying you're underselling yourself if you don't realize how you're in competition with people under capitalism.
The only competition is myself, basically. I'm fighting myself, basically. I think everyone's
I
doing the
just
same.
explained to you two ways, actually three, with the home owning thing as well. If you understand the home buyers market, how
Gotcha.
you're competing with other people. Workers is an interesting one. Do you want me to quickly point that one out?
Go for it.
Have you ever heard of this? This especially applies to women. So sorry about the sexism here, but of a pick me.
Yeah, I know this.
So that's a form of competition, right? That's competing for attention and cooperation in the workplace from the opposite sex.
I get this, but this is something we can't control. Basically, the world is
No,
gonna
you
do
can't
the
control
world.
whether you participate in it or not, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, as an individual, basically, right?
I mean, it's part of the overarching systems, but we like, for example, in the worker space, those workers could like come together and be like, we don't want to compete that way anymore, and they could actually put an end to that.
But
Same
it
with like,
will though. It will though. In the digital age, all the companies in all the worlds are conforming to the digital age.
see,
AI,
that's very
robots,
cynical.
it's coming. It's coming.
That those are
So
negative thoughts, though.
it isn't.
That's the
It's
true
awareness.
negative thinking there, where you disempower yourself without actually thinking if you have alternatives.
There are alternatives, but we can't be using the same think as we did before
Oh,
because we can't
definitely.
trust. Exactly.
We,
But
we, we need a new paradigm, even a paradigm shift where,
that's what I'm
like,
saying.
imagine like a car existing for the community, not for private ownership, but like, you know, the
But
car
all
exists within the community itself, and when people need to get around, they use the car.
But all electric vehicles are going to be owned by the corporate. You won't own anything, basically. We know this,
Hmm.
yeah?
I mean, that's what
We know.
leasing is.
Say what?
I actually
That's
think
what leasing is.
I think competition is. I think it can be healthy. It can spark creativity.
It is. It is.
It can. It just is how it's applied. But no,
But
I understand what you're saying. But
yeah,
all I'm saying is there's no benefit in fear. It's not benefiting. Uh,
yeah, it's adapting, I guess. We need to learn to adapt. It's the younger generation before us that are more equipped to technology, AI, the world. You know, we are old school, basically. You know.
I feel like I'm so in between that because I grew up with some like programming experience and stuff, but that's also kind of gotten away from me. because all that stuff is changing.
Yeah, my little brother, who's in high school, they use Chat GPT to do their homework. You fucking kidding me? What the fuck? I
Well,
had
I
to go to
remember
the
I was.
library. I had to go to the library and borrow some books and
Mhm.
read information, write it on a piece of paper, then type it on a computer. These generations,
Yeah.
god damn.
Hey, bro, I had a typewriter and a ribbon still. Bro, boy, I remember
Hey,
those days and damn ink ribbon.
old
yeah,
school.
that's a. I mean, I think a big part of that is, how involved teachers are with their students versus is school being treated as a way to get kids into the job market, which again, capitalism does see school that way. And
Oh
when it
yeah.
is treated that way, like they're not treated like the core essentials aren't treated as important. Also, you can see from like right wing conservatives, they just hate the idea of treating anything or teaching anything that isn't already taught. They treat it as like the scariest thing in the world, where it's like Common Core math, which actually helps you understand how math works. Like I ended up using Common Core when I taught myself to code, because at the end of the day, you have to think about some funky shit when you're trying to do game programming, and you
That's
have to
the
think
future.
inductively. But like Common Core math isn't scary. It's just scary to the parents who are like, oh my God, my kids are gonna come home with homework and I'm not gonna understand how to help them. Well, guess what, parents? You have to sometimes learn new things to be a
Yeah,
parent.
you can't fall behind. You can't fall behind.
And so yeah, I can understand the mild fear, but then of course Fox News turns it into, oh my God, they're trying to indoctrinate your kids with Common Core. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it would actually help them a lot to know that. Like, come on.
The world will change uh, regardless with how we try, basically. The future is already set for the next 100 years. They already planned this years and years in advance,
I don't know
basically.
who you mean or like how you think that that's possible, considering that there are so many chaotic systems at play. But that's a funny thought.
No, it's possible. They've
Did they
already
plan
planned.
climate change?
Yes,
Really? So the
yes.
industrialists in like the 1930s who actually like kicked it off, they were part of this too.
So basically, in the industrial era, they needed workers, right? So the products that they created died in a month, a year, or two. So that meant there's more workers to manufacture more products that will soon die, basically.
Wait, so you're no, when the industrialism started, we hadn't even yet seen like true marketing to the point where like people were buying things on a want based level instead of a needs based level. So like for the first few decades of industrialism, that shift wasn't even taking place. It wasn't until like the 60s or 70s that we saw products that were literally like 1 or 2 year use cases, whereas before they had been 5 or 10 year. So
Plastic,
yeah,
plastic,
plastic had a
plastic.
lot longer more durability and a lot longer life
What
than the majority of
what were
materials
we
that were
using
used
before
prior to it.
plastic?
Like for example, on electronic circuit boards, the things that plastics often replaced only had like a shelf life of 5 years or something like that. Now they could last 20, 30, 40 years.
Yes, they knew this. They knew
But no,
this,
the
but
plastics made
you're
things last
yeah,
longer.
you're going you're going to throw it away regardless. You're not
Right.
gonna
So
you're
planned
not gonna
obsolescence was really only talked about in like economic circles in like the late 80s and early 90s. And then it kicked off in like the 2000s and like becoming popular as like a thing to talk about in regards to economics. It was not considered or planned for prior to that at all, because you wouldn't even see it talked about in relation to economics.
the people wouldn't know, but they produce plastic
What,
for the
what
mass.
paper? No, no, no. I'm the people who are planning economies, the economists, weren't talking about planned economics until late into the industrial era. So again, how are the industrialists involved in this?
No, they would have had planned that way before. Okay.
But they didn't. They weren't even talking about it.
As far
Like
as
the
you know,
economists, the people who plan economies, right? That they go to school, they learn economics, and they go and they talk about how to plan economies. That is their job. They
so
were not
basically,
talking about planned obsolescence. So I don't understand how you think that this is possible. Who was talking about this before them?
those people we don't know of. basically.
So you
We
don't
are.
know. You're
I don't
operating
know.
off of a zero knowledge base. Is this? Are you just assuming this is true?
I'm talking from consequences. Okay. Okay.
So I can
You
explain to you
can't.
how
You
we got
can't.
to where we are today.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't tell me we're in a good place now globally.
Or
Is
we're
that
like,
planned, or was it
okay,
just by off chance?
which in which sense do you mean? Do you mean a holistic sense? Do you mean in like economically strictly speaking, politically strictly speaking?
Everything. Everything. It's
Okay,
an
so
umbrella
holistically,
corporation. It's an umbrella
holistically.
corporation. You can
So
speak about this one and refer to another one. Same thing.
sure. So yes, holistically, it seems like systems are declining, especially under capitalism, because capitalism as an economic theory uh, was not treated like an experiment. Therefore, nobody ever tested the hypothesis to see if it was
So,
turning out to be true.
so it's by design.
Please, I need to finish explaining this. Various
Right.
presidents and world leaders who have come about over the years often thought that they could plan the ways that people live. What it turned out is that they were wrong. There's an entire documentary on this called Hypernormalization, because human systems are too complex. Humans, like you versus me versus word versus commander, there's too much individuality between us. You can't plan for us, right? You can't actually do that. And so the reason where we're at, in the position we're at today is because people who thought that they could plan economies got it incredibly wrong every time, because you simply can't.
Why do you think technology has been a detriment to humanity? Is that
For
by design
because you can't
or by
predict
fluke?
the impact of things like social media.
Who controls technology? Did you?
It's
Me?
mostly the rich, the people who have the means of production, and under capitalism, that
Uh,
is the rich.
there you go. So you got to point your fingers at them. They planned this
Right.
all along.
And so they'll often, the rich will often like cite economists when they talk about their plans for how to run their company, right? So again, we look at economists for like who's coming up with these plans for economies. Same
Correct.
with the world
Correct.
leaders. The world leaders, people like Nixon and Reagan, people who thought that they could run the planet, not just them, but good examples. They would point to economists and say, this economist says this, therefore I'm going to do this accordingly.
And they're all in cahoots. You can't see what happens
What?
behind closed
Okay,
doors.
okay. The, the U.S. government is in cahoots with the economists, or the rich are.
But what am I saying that's you can't get? They're
Oh, I'm
all
just
shaking hands with each other.
because the U.S.
Do you
government wouldn't be. The U.S.
do you
government
think
has a strong separation from like kind of like educational institutions, stuff like that. You might see an economist become a politician and stuff like that. But again, it would be like if
do you th-
Nixon cited an economist, he would also up until Trump, it was usually like you can't have a conflict of interest in doing that, right? And like your policies and stuff like that. So up
right?
until very, very, very recently, the government could not have been in cahoots with the economists or the rich.
But I'm telling you, they were and they are.
So like
Do you
through
think
lobbying, you
China?
mean?
Do you think China is an enemy of the U.S. or Russia is the enemy of the U.S.?
Not especially no, especially not in trade, but in terms of like nation border protection and stuff like that. Yeah, they do a lot of chest banging more so than actual threatening.
Yeah. So think of it as the hierarchy. The president is their general manager. Okay. All the people are the employees. It's in a need to know basis, basically,
Excuse me.
right? China don't care about stopping their own people. America don't care about stopping their own people, so long the rich are shaking hands. Okay,
So
we,
that's a very
we
cynical view.
no,
I think it might
it's
be easier to say that the U.S. government, for example, it's easier to speak to them than China. China is more complicated because they have the CCP or CPP, I forget, CCP. But anyways, with the U.S. government very much sees like its citizens as like a worker count, right? Like how many people can we employ? And so they treat their citizens as a means to an end rather than an end in and of itself. and that allows for a lot of human rights violations, people to have like lowered wages, stuff like that. And then all of like these crazy like banking institutions and economic policies that are supposed to band-aid that instead of actually giving people a livable wage.
Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is the divide comes from class. Basically,
No, I
the
agree.
ones
Yeah.
that are the ones that are higher ups aren't really telling us the truth. You, me, and
Well,
everybody.
okay.
They want to tell you what we want to hear per se.
Can you just lay out this truth without pointing to them or anything like that, referring to them? Just say what the truth is.
Okay.
I don't want to
Freeman-
hear like
Do you know
conspiratorial
anything about
thinking.
Freemasonry? Do you know anything about Freemasonry or the occult?
So you mean like clubs that had like marginal power throughout the time, throughout the ages?
Through centuries. They've already planned this way belong. They knew what 50 years was going to come, and they adjust because, like you said, yeah, we're individuals, we are unpredictable, but they adjust to it.
So I'm going to post a link in the side chat, which will demonstrate that, like, even until recently, nobody is actually able to predict what will happen with people. Maybe like 5 years from now, if we can assume nothing too chaotic will happen in the next 5 years, we might have
Why
some.
would they tell you? Why would they tell you that?
Oh no, it's because like from a military perspective, if you could actually predict that much, it would open up a whole new era of warfare called what's it called? Meta civil warfare or something like that, where like you essentially do plan economies, but to destroy entire nations. Like if you look at like how the US has worked in the Middle East, they had plans and they had predicted outcomes, but the people that they tried to like install and blah 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 were too unpredictable, and so nothing worked. It same goes with economics. Whenever you try to create a system that has a predicted outcome, you'll find that there aren't just like people who play the game accordingly. There are people who try to game the system, and there are people who just act unpredictably because they're not the rational actors you thought they would be.
Correct. But do you think your government have your interest at best?
That varies heavily on who we're talking about. If you ask me like Bernie Sanders, I would say most of his interests have to do with like what my interests as an American would be if I was American. But if we're talking like Trump, like almost zero, because he's way more invested in like the rich. And this is again where the class divide matters more than there being any secrets or something like that. The power that they have and the economic incentive to be disenfranchised from the middle and lower classes is enough to explain all of this.
Yeah,
so in the side chat, by the way, I'm posting the documentary. For those who are listening at home, I'm just going to say this as clearly and concisely as possible. It is called Hypernormalization. It is by Adam Curtis. It is free on YouTube. There is some graphic imagery, so it is 18 plus, but otherwise it is a very, very insightful documentary on how we got to where we are today. Also, his documentary, The Century of the Self, explains how the industrialist started to market things differently to us such that we have like this overblown consumption capitalism that we see today.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm on your side on this, but
I guarantee you, we don't need to get into conspiratorial thinking. It's actually much easier to understand our governments and systems of powers as being inept.
But the whole world is conspiratorial. But anyways,
but that can't be possible.
No. It kind of
then it wouldn't be a conspiracy.
But the people aren't the one conspiring. You know this, right?
I don't think
conspire are the rich that control the world.
But you know what their conspiracies are like? Their conspiracies are like insurance fraud, dude. Like there's no reason giving them more power or status than they need to have. Like they're not masterminds. They Okay, and maybe that's fun to believe, but if you actually try to like look for facts, the only facts that you'll find are like these people do insurance fraud, these people hide money overseas so that way they can avoid taxes. they're not doing anything that's like evil mastermind from Austin Powers shit or James Bond is what I meant to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I beg to
Tuskegee
differ, but
experiment, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
That was a conspiracy at one point.
and I guarantee you that the pyramids were just built by the Egyptians by slaves. That's all.
No,
there
no, I'm
is to
talking
it.
about
how
the
though?
Tuskegee.
How?
No,
Yeah, human labor,
No.
and yeah,
the
no, yes.
Tuskegee experiments.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that. I'm unfamiliar with that, and
Yeah,
usually
when they
Occam's
when-
razor saves the day. That's all I'm going to say. Is like there's always a simpler, much easier to fit to like a bunch of people who got something wrong than a whole nation or a whole collective of people in power who wanted to get things wrong. Right? Human
Do you think the
incompetence.
people?
Human incompetence and human error is the number one explainer for all conspiracies.
Do you think the people that run the world are evil?
I don't. Yeah, evil is not something I think we can quantify. Do I think that they have nefarious intentions? Do I think that they're selfish and greedy and stuff? Yes. I think that the more rich and the more powerful you become, the more disenfranchised you become from the needs and wants of the collective.
Then that's how I think. Okay, evil don't care or wish.
But
to
that
make
doesn't
you
mean
better.
literally everything that they could do, they do, right?
But you're.
They are also they're also
How far
individuals.
are you in the hierarchy? Tell me. How far are you in that hierarchy pyramid? Tell me. Are you at the top
What?
1%, top 3%, top 5%?
No. What I'm trying to say is that when we apply Occam's razor, it's much better explained by like individuals who may want to do something fancy, but usually can't because there is no real way. Like there is no framework for these conspiracies that you're actually talking about. There is nothing for them to truly exploit, and so all they can exploit are tax breaks and fraud and the same shit that like people who did try to represent the people in government put up institutions to regulate it with. The consumer finance and protection bureau, I forget what it's called, the thing made by Elizabeth Warren, was an action done to protect the people. And that's not a conspiracy. That sometimes we have politicians who do that, and that's it. It's important to make that distinction.
Hey,
What up,
how's it going?
Baba? Yo.
What's up?
Baba, what up, though?
Hey.
What are your thoughts?
Hey, I got a question for you, Melanie. What do you think about Citizens United?
I've heard of them, and I should remember better who they are. But what are they? What do they do again?
Oh, it's basically the turning point when money was basically allowed to infiltrate.
Oh yeah, it's a case, isn't it? Yeah.
Government. Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, it's impactful, but are you saying
It's hard? It's hard not to believe that the people that run the world are really on our side.
Well, yeah,
Pretty
especially
hard.
like when the Supreme Court says that the president can do almost anything without impunity.
But they're all friends. That's
That's
proving
not
the
true. No,
point.
they're competing with
That's
each other
proving my
more than you
point.
can imagine. No, that's not true. They're dude, they're not all friends. They're competing with each other more than you can imagine.
WWE. It's WWE.
Exactly.
You're the audience.
Yeah.
Are you entertained?
If you think they're competing, then you are basically watching wrestling.
If you think that they're all friends, then you're listening to a narrative that is not possible in a free market capitalist society. It's just not.
You don't seem to understand that when these people have money, money is the ultimate factor for them. It's not about size.
Right, and they want more money than the other rich family next to them, right?
Of course. But you know who the pawns are all the poor people. It's a class war, man. I mean, if you really think that they are...
I agree. Wait, just real quick. I agree it's a class war.
Cut me off, go ahead. Huh?
I know, but I agree it's
as
a
long
class
as you
war.
agree with me.
But they have to compete with each other, with other rich families.
To pillage us.
Just let me finish. To have the most money possible.
To pillage us. That's what they're competing for.
No, they're
not competing against each other.
They also pillage each other. Like, you understand, okay, like if I'm Walmart and Zellers exist and I can put Zellers out of business, I'm also putting a rich family out of their status, right?
Okay.
That's competition, and they do compete with each other that way. We have to recognize this, otherwise we don't know our enemy. That's part of the class war. You have to know the enemy.
But you're not playing in this game, are you?
Oh no, I am.
You're collateral.
Oh, you are. You're a player.
We all are.
No,
Exactly.
I think you're.
Oh,
We're collateral. We're not players. How are you a player?
See, you're disempowering yourself by calling yourself a pawn. Yet you, as a consumer, is someone who they're constantly trying to advertise to, constantly trying to pull into consumerism so that way you can play their game.
Consumer.
Yeah, I'm less of a consumer than I used to be. That's for sure. But I mean, if you think just not spending money is you playing the game, you're not playing the game.
No, I agree. Not like spending zero money wouldn't mean that you're like avoiding playing the game altogether. What I'm saying is that they're trying to make you more of a player, where like our class consciousness would be like knowing our enemy and not just doing things because they set that out to be the norm. And I agree, there are norms that are set out. When you look at like standards for dress, right? How do we dress ourselves? They're constantly trying to make us spend more and more money on how we dress. I agree there, but it doesn't mean they control every aspect of our lives. That's what you have to understand. Some of that's controlled by government. Some of that's controlled by the norms we establish in our homes. That's culture.
Your mobile phones controlling you. Social media is controlling you.
But do you not have culture? Do you not decide to put up a Christmas tree around Christmas, or do you only do that because corporations tell you to?
I don't do Christmas at all.
I do a Christmas tree because I like having lights and stuff in the tree, and I think it looks pretty. And for me, it's aesthetically pleasing. That's the only reason I do it, right? And because there's lights around and stuff like that too. But it's not because corporations tell me to.
Who taught you that? You wouldn't.
I grew up in that. Yeah, no, I grew up in that culture of doing that. But that also existed before corporations, mind you.
So, what's your take on healthcare, Melanie? The current state of it.
Well, in America, like I think it's disgusting that people pay for healthcare because I'm Canadian.
Oh, so you're Canadian? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so
I'm an American.
You have a different problem. You have a different problem. You have to wait for healthcare a lot longer than we do.
Not really. Like if I had a heart attack right now, I'd be in like traumatic care within like maybe 30 minutes. But
yeah, but that's not what we're talking about.
But if I needed surgery, no, but elective surgeries, not life-saving surgeries, right? Again, that's a different thing.
No, we're not talking about elective.
But healthcare.
I love how you talk. Can you not cut me off for one time? That'd be great.
No, you've been cutting me off too. It goes both ways. Do we want to agree to not cut each other off? Or
I let you cut me off. I don't.
Yeah, and I'm letting you cut me off.
No, you're cutting me off.
Okay, at least I'm self-aware when I do it.
Baba just hit the panel.
Yeah, you've been talking for a while. You've been here for hours, right?
At least I'm self-aware when I cut you off. That's all I'm going to say. But go ahead.
Let me ask you a different question, since you want to be nasty. So you're transgender, right?
Be nasty? Do you want me
to
be nasty?
You're transgender, right?
Am I?
I don't know.
How do you know? How do you know?
I'm asking. It's an open question.
How do you know?
You're going to tell me. That's how I'm going to know.
Yeah, I'm being difficult. You said I should be nasty, so I decided to be.
Yeah. At least it shuts you up. Breath of fresh air.
So anyways, yeah. So like if you want to like.
So you're not going to answer my question.
On things.
So you're not going to answer my question?
Like knowing how the rich actually operates one of the most important ways to make sure that you can attack them where it hurts, rather than just doing things like protesting idly and peacefully because that's what they expect from you.
So you gotta echo, bro. So you gotta echo.
Stoics echoing. There you go. So, Melanie, do you think transgenderism's increase has any correlation to? I don't know. You tell me. I wouldn't know.
Well, why'd you use that word if you don't know what it means?
So you're not going to let me talk, huh?
No.
You proved my
Especially
point.
if you're going to use words when you don't know what they mean.
Well, why don't you educate me? You're the person that
It's
knows.
not a word.
Okay, whatever.
Pick better
So,
words.
are you a fan of pornography?
Am I a fan of it? No.
Oh, so you don't look at porn?
Well, that's different than being a fan of it.
Well, say something.
Something.
Man, it's really shutting you up. It's working well.
Yeah, everything you're saying is incredibly useless and giving me nothing to say anything
It's
towards.
useless to you because you're not saying it. You're not saying anything. You just cut people off. You got nothing to add here. You're just if it's not what
I can
you
go back to the
want to
original
hear.
conversation. I have a lot to say about that if you'd like.
Oh, okay. Will you not cut me off?
Will you not cut me off?
No, especially not if there's two of
No,
you.
especially now if there's two of you.
Oh, there's going to be two of me.
Two of me.
Have to deal with it.
Deal with it.
So you're talking to yourself?
So you're talking to yourself?
Look at the screen. Do you see my microphone
Yeah,
doing
you-
that?
My
How
microphone.
dumb are you?
Yeah, you
How
got
dumb are you?
you got another echo. So
Coming as echo?
Yeah.
Damn, okay.
It's you're
My bad,
echoing
my bad.
stuff.
You're echoing stuff.
All right. My bad.
no, you good.
That's why I
But
got
it is
headphones.
it's 4 in the morning where I'm at.
So
I'm gonna get my
here's
butt
why.
to sleep. So
Oh, you're
go
going to
ahead.
bed?
Yeah, I was about to say, go ahead and make your last point.
Now,
It's
the
4
reason
in
I
the
brought up
morning.
the porn is because there's definitely a conspiracy when it comes to porn companies to make taste extreme. That's definitely happening. So, the idea that it has no impact on the whole issue of gender, it definitely does.
When does gender
So
form in the brain?
probably,
Probably.
I don't know. You tell me. I mean,
It's a probability now.
you tell me. When do you think it is? Obviously, you have an opinion about it.
Well, we can see the first signs of sexual dimorphism in the brain in the prenatal environment or in the natal environment. The hormones that it's exposed to, that the brain is exposed to after, or especially specifically the androgens that the brain is exposed to after the genitals have formed, can be different than when the genitals formed. So, and thus the sexual dimorphism of the brain might be different than the sexual dimorphism of the genitals.
So how do you feel about people that have transitioned regretting it? What's your take on that?
Usually when you look at that, you see that like the majority of people who do it did so because of like social pressures and not having access to trans healthcare. Not to mention this is like a fraction of all trans people, which is a fraction of the population. So almost significantly statistically insignificant.
Can I jump in? My battery dying, so nice chatting with you. Melanie, you're great.
You too.
You're great. You're nice
Have
to
a good
talk
one.
to and whatnot. The word cheers. Let me jump on next time, yeah?
Have a good one.
For sure. Have a good one,
Peace,
bro.
Doc.
Cheers.
The idea, though, that the conspiracies don't exist is really insane because,
Oh no, they exist. Like Watergate was a conspiracy. But usually, like when we see conspiracies existing, it's like a small amount of people who don't actually have the power to exploit that they're trying to exploit. So they're forming the conspiracy to exploit that power. So if you want to say there was a conspiracy like with Donald Trump and Elon Musk right now to bring executive branch power to the rich, then I'd be like, well, yeah, that would seem to almost make sense.
Have you heard of Yuri Bezmenov?
Vaguely, I don't. An economist or philosopher?
Yeah, so that's all right. Well, anyway, yeah, interesting take. I mean, I think it's pretty fascinating that you have so much trust in the government. But
No, I just said that like the rich and powerful, including like politicians that are increasingly rich, like Nancy Pelosi would even count, don't have the will of the people in mind, and therefore I'm not trustful of them. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not conspiratorial with that mistrust, right? Like I don't take it somewhere further than it needs to go. Like I trust them to abuse that power or to look the other way when corporations abuse power, for example, because they're heavily bought by lobbyist groups. That's not a conspiracy, though. Lobbying is legal in the States.
Well, it is, unfortunately, due to things like Citizens United. That's why I brought it up.
Right. Okay, sure. But that's not a conspiracy then, right?
No, actually it is. I think in your mind, you think a conspiracy requires a bunch of men in a dark room to be coming up with some, huge plan to subvert, the culture or this and that.
Well,
But
a conspiracy isn't something that you
go
pass
ahead and cut me
laws
off
to
again.
do.
Go ahead. Cut me off. Go ahead.
Sure, but like you realize that like if I'm doing a conspiracy, I wouldn't pass laws that say what the conspiracy is.
Well, that's actually what has happened.
No, I think you're conflating like a normal government operation with a conspiracy because you don't have like the dialect like that Karl Marx might provide on why that sort of class warfare is wrong in the first place.
Uh-huh. And what's dialect that Karl Marx would provide on that?
You don't know what Marxism is?
I'm asking you specifically to talk about what
No,
you
I'm
said.
asking you
What's the
specifically
dialect?
how much do you know about Marxism?
I know enough.
So then
You
that's
present your arguments very well. You actually
Marxism
don't
is
say anything.
Sure.
I ask you a bunch of things.
Sure,
You
I
have no
opt for
idea what they are.
expediency.
And the second that I know something about what you're talking about, you can't explain what you're trying to tell me.
Because you're acting confused, like you haven't heard of Karl Marx before, and yet you're
Make
saying
your point. Make your point. Connect it to something.
No, I don't feel like
going to say Karl.
Something you might already know. I'd rather explain to you something you don't know. That's why I'm trying to pick apart what you do and don't know.
How does Karl Marx relate to what we're talking about?
Karl Marx talks about class warfare.
Okay.
And I said that this is class warfare.
Okay. And? That's it?
That's it for now. Yeah, I'm not going to lecture you.
Okay. So there's no point. All right.
Cool. I'm not paid enough to lecture you. What am I, a professor?
I'm not getting paid. That's for sure.
Like, go read Marx if you need that answer.
Oh, yeah. Dying to do that.
You'd rather believe in conspiracies. That's cool.
There's nothing to believe. Conspiracies exist. What you think a conspiracy is not, InfoWars, right?
I mean, you have
reptilians.
All it tells me, by the way, and now I am going to be nasty, is that you have about as much critical thinking skills as a flat earther.
An ad hominem. Great. Amazing.
No, that's not. No, that might be a false equivocation, but it's certainly not just an ad hominem.
Oh, no? And so what is it that I just said has to do with what you're saying? How does it connect?
Yeah, so in order to pass these things, you need a certain degree of critical thinking skills, particularly the checking your own biases kind of thing, like how much do I know, how much do I know what I don't know kind of thing, and then being able to, come to a more probabilistic conclusion rather than a more sensational one, right? Whereas like the people who are alert to the sensational ones probably aren't using critical thinking skills effectively.
What's the definition of conspiracy for you in the context of this conversation?
A shadow operation done behind closed doors, quote unquote, done to subvert the legal mechanisms of action to achieve a particular goal.
So you think that, again, it goes back to what I said. You think that there's some shadowy operation and that's a requirement for government, people in government to conspire.
Yeah, these things are usually hidden because they're not lawful. There's never been a lawful conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not how the definition works. You might be talking about something else, like something that would be a lawful, but it wouldn't be called a conspiracy anymore.
Right.
So conspiracy to commit, conspiring to commit, right? Like the whole thing is like you're usually planning to do a crime, not planning to do something lawful.
Mhm.
So
So
like the
it,
Tuskegee experiments, right? When they
yeah,
was testing syphilis on poor black people, promising them that they can that they was gonna get some monetary gain. And they was just testing them, but they was actually giving them syphilis.
Is that a conspiracy or is that just a gross abuse of power?
Well,
well,
for years it was conspiracy because, uh, like you
Okay.
said, it's unlawful, and
Okay.
I don't see how that's a gross abuse of power. That shit was just fucking evil. You taking poor black people and testing to see the effectiveness of STD. These people were dying, and a lot of them was given to it unwillfully. Like they didn't. Nobody knew what they was actually getting injected. First, they was promising them things, and then they just start snatching people up. And they not only did it to black people, they did it to white people. So again, it wasn't even a race thing; it was more of a class thing.
Oh yeah, another word I didn't use my definition that I should have was cover up, because there's often a cover up before or following it.
With the conspiracy, right?
Yes.
It took them 15 years to figure out. It was definitely a cover, or even um, what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. With Black Wall Street. I mean, it's definitely like I think what they're saying. A lot of times, things are done without the intent to help people.
Yeah,
Um,
nefarious.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Like
there's
you
people
believe in
like,
aliens? Do you believe in aliens?
oh God, no. For
Mm.
one simple reason
Even
too.
though they had a whole thing on the Senate floor about the cover of extraterrestrials. What do you think about that?
I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's evidence of extraterrestrials. Knowing how things tend to go on the Senate floor, there might have been like 2 or 3 senators who proposed that there should be evidence somewhere, pointed to like something that they found suspicious, and then most of the other senators would be like, "What the heck is this?"
No, it was generals and admirals saying that they covered it up and
So yeah, they're usually
people was getting
cross-examined.
eliminated. They were saying people was
Well,
getting
yeah, okay.
eliminated, and they
So
said they had the evidence.
so
They
the
said they
wording
got
of
the
the
evidence.
sorry to cut you off, but that was one of the things that like at least the leftists noticed on this is like they kept saying UFOs, not extraterrestrials, right? Because they're covering up uh, cases of unidentified flying objects. It's been that documentary Hypernormalization talks about how one of the first people ever who started talking about the UFO thing was actually told by the CIA to call it that because he had actually witnessed weapons testing, and they didn't want him to like say like, "Oh yeah, I saw them testing weapons. Here's what I saw," and then tell that to the Russians by accident.
so do you think things like forced sterilization programs that were widespread, would you consider that a conspiracy? Or are you aware of that?
I forget if that was something that was done based on policy or if it was, kind of done underhandedly. So I can't speak to that directly with confidence.
Right. I think it's kind of interesting that you,
Like, by
well,
the
I
way,
guess we
forced
can't.
sterilization of
Okay, go ahead
intersex
and cut me
people.
off again.
Well, yeah, no, I just
Okay.
remember something. Forced sterilization of intersex people is policy. So no, I wouldn't call that, for example, a conspiracy.
Okay, so if it's a policy, it's okay.
No,
That's not
it's
a
not
conspiracy.
okay. It's just a different class of nefarious behavior.
Mm.
I wouldn't
So
define
if you
it
make
as
it
a
policy,
conspiracy.
it's not a conspiracy to you.
Yes.
Interesting.
I think that's what I was getting. That's what I was misunderstanding.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not saying anything's okay because it's policy, but it needs to be done like behind closed doors, like backdoor stuff. And if it can be done lawfully, they don't normally need to hide it anyway. So unless you can think of a conspiracy or something that's called a conspiracy, which I guess I'm referring to history textbooks in that sense, that was also like done lawfully, then I guess I might consider changing my definition a little bit. But as far as I know, most conspiracies are done like through unlawful means.
So like governments, military running special op missions, that will that fall under conspiracy?
That is complicated. Military law is not always the same, and I think that there are a lot of exceptions for these things in military law. However, U.S. power abroad and stuff like that, they're operating in countries that might not always condone that law secretively. It approaches it in my mind, but again, I have trouble speaking with confidence on this.
So plot to carry out a harmful or illegal act is the definition that I'm seeing. So I don't think that it has to be illegal. And
It says illegal.
I'm sorry?
It says illegal.
Yeah, it says harmful or illegal. You know the word "or"? You heard that word before?
Here's the thing: is like there's been a lot of plots to carry out things like for nefarious purpose. Like again, the military, right? Like they plot to carry out harmful things. I wouldn't call every harmful thing the military has done a conspiracy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like it seems like the plotting. It seems like
it's not a plot.
It seems like the plot part is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, where like you're almost like if we unpack that word in relation to when we actually apply the word conspiracy to things, like it's again plotting to subvert legal means anyways. Like again, if you can think of a conspiracy, like something we call a conspiracy already that isn't illegal to begin with, then I'd agree. But like
having military powers conspire to wage war, that's a perfectly formed sentence. I don't know what you don't understand about that.
Conspire to wage war?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just say
a harmful
wage war?
act. I'm sorry?
What's the difference? Okay, so plotting to wage war, right?
Yes, that's a conspiracy.
But
it's a harmful act.
Okay, so to conspire is a verb, conspiracy is a noun, right?
Okay.
So the definition that you gave made more sense to conspire to, but not for the noun, a conspiracy, because again, we wouldn't call the war that came afterwards a conspiracy.
So, okay, we want to use that as an example. I'm going to use of Russia and Ukraine. But let me get my behind off here. My baby girl is waking up.
Yeah, I'm getting tired.
All right.
But yeah, this is a good combo though, and a good sharpening iron, sharpen iron. You know, we got a lot of stuff to think about. I wrote a couple things down, so I'm coming. I appreciate that. But yeah, my wife is about to get on my.
Sorry, keep that. I thought you were done.
Oh no, go ahead.
I will be legit thinking about this and seeing if there's anywhere I was wrong, because you know I've never even thought about the definition this much. So
yeah, I think that it's I think the sensationalist definition that you know, I don't think it's necessarily the only way to look at it, but I could be wrong.
I just to be clear, I think that's what attracts a lot of like conspiracy theorists to believe the wrong thing, rather than like, you know, the more rational explanation for something.
Sure.
So maybe it's not like good as a definition. I was really much like, I just didn't want to Google it, right? So I was just winging it from, you know, kind of working back from what I'd already kind of explained to. definitely wasn't like a solid definition.
Well, Word, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, for sure. Anytime, man. Y'all come up, man. We do this. I apologize. I ain't really been myself the last couple of days. Took a couple of days off and starting to get that pressure in my head. When I get that, bro, I be in survival mode sometimes. But I ain't want to end the conversation because I was cooking. So um, yeah, but I'll probably come on. I'll probably take tomorrow off. But I'll probably be on. What's that, Wednesday? I definitely probably be on like early Wednesday morning.
All right,
Okay.
thanks. Sounds good.
Well,
I appreciate y'all, man.
I'll see you then if I'm free. Oh, I forgot to post that documentary in the side chat. I'm quickly posting it now. I actually just forgot to post send, so it's there now. I highly recommend it. It might even be one of the best documentaries to come out in the past 10 years. So
I'm gonna definitely check it out.
Cool. Well, have a good night.
You too. Hey man, y'all know what I always say. Care about how you feel. These are conversations to build nation. If you feel anything that resonated with you, do me a favor, hit that share button, tell somebody, help us spread the word. But until next time, we out.
What up, Nine?
Trapaholics Mixtapes.